Hey everybody, it's Honesty, and this is the Right Honesty Podcast. AG, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm hot,
Yeah, it's
but I'm
hot,
good.
man. It's hot. It's
It's
hot.
hot and humid. It's gross.
I have to say, when I went to Houston, I don't give these people be lying. Oh, it's a dry heat, dry my ass. But whenever it's summertime and I go to other places or even here and it's hot, I just feel like I'm in somebody's mouth. Like I feel like I'm just walking around inside. I can't take it.
Somebody's mouth. So harkening back to my prior life, had a trial in Las Vegas over the summer.
Oof.
And I can remember standing outside of the courthouse, getting some fresh air. I'm doing that in air quotes with the witness.
Right.
And the phone said it was a feel like temperature of 117 degrees. And I
Now,
was
isn't
like,
that stupid?
this is just demonic.
Isn't
Like,
that the dumbest thing
why?
you ever heard of in your life?
I
Exactly.
mean, why? And the witness, a doctor, he was like, well, but it's dry heat. And I was like, it's three digits.
Yeah, shut
It's
up.
triple digits. This is ungodly heat.
You
I
can't
don't
make that
know.
better.
Now, that said, I agree that the difference between dry heat and the humidity in terms of levels of discomfort, right? You can poo-poo that until you experience both and you're like,
It's different, but they both bad. So I
they're
have
both
family in
bad.
Arizona, and they get in three digits in Arizona. It's right next door
Yeah,
to Las Vegas. They get in three digits in Arizona too. And they be still trying to make me believe. But when we get out the car and
it's an
every
oven.
it's an
Yeah,
oven. I don't
it's
care
literally
what you
like an
say.
oven.
I know I'm
Yeah.
not like, here in DC, if you get the heat and humidity, you can't even breathe. Like you have to go
Yes,
inside to be able to
exactly.
pull in air.
Exactly.
But it's still just, I feel like I'm burning, I'm baking, like this is stupid. So yeah, it's hot.
Yeah.
It's hot.
No,
And then
I
we've
agree
gotten
with
a
you.
lot of rain. I'm like, this is ugly.
Yes.
I don't want
and then
nothing to
the
do with it.
and then the smoke right from
Child,
the
then
the
the smoke came
wildfires
down.
came back and it was like, come on now.
Yeah. So why don't we put a curtain up or something? How y'all letting the smoke get in? Some kind of, why don't you put a fan up there or something? All this green and stuff y'all doing, y'all can't put one of them, what you know I'm talking about? Them wind things. Put the wind up there
Oh my goodness
and blow it
gracious.
out in the other direction. I said, this ain't gonna work. I need to be in charge of the energy policy because I got some ideas. And then I'm gonna write a letter to my congressperson. I don't
I
have
think you
one.
should do that. I think
I
you
don't
should do.
have one. In
Oh,
DC,
that's right. That's right.
taxation without representation. I have a shadow
Representation.
senator
Yep. Yep.
that
Yeah.
cannot vote, but I pay taxes every paycheck. Anyhow.
Well, yeah.
All right, folks. I was just saying to AG, I don't know how we're gonna make it in our usual time, but we're gonna see. I know it's no way it's gonna be an hour. Impossible.
Oh no.
I will
No.
be stunned if it's less than four. But I'm pushing for two. I'm gonna try for two. 2 hours and that's it. Okay.
Come on. We can do it.
We're gonna try. Uh ladies and gentlemen, this evening we will be talking about Demon's Dream. This book was recommended by AG. She is my pusher. So she's my plug. She reads the books and she curates them and she passes the ones to me that she feel like I can handle.
This is true.
This
Yes.
happens on a whim though. So this particular time, she was just like, oh, there was this particular book, Demon's Dream, and she kind of gave me, she had to qualify it. And it was like, there was a little bit of context and background, but she was like, get into it, get into it, get into it. Now, this is the barrier. It's 750 pages.
750 pages.
And so, and if you have heard anything about me, one of the things that that I feel like is a compliment to an author is when they are efficient. When I feel like they pack a punch in a little bit of pages. This is George R.R. Martin territory, 750 pages. But I said, all right, I'm gonna give it a try. I'm gonna see. Much to my surprise,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was head first from the first page.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Head first.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't put it down. When I couldn't read it, I had Alexa listening. When Alexa couldn't listen, I was back to reading. I think I might have canceled a meeting. Well, I was off, so I had time randomly off, but I was in. I was in from page one. I have a
Yeah.
lot of feelings and a lot of thoughts,
Yeah.
lots of feelings and lots of thoughts. But I made it through 750 pages. Adrian, are you proud?
I am incredibly proud of you because I made this recommendation with some trepidation,
You did.
knowing how you feel about the page limit. And listen, you were not alone, because the way that Demon's Dream by Elle Kayson
Yes.
came onto my radar. Elle was new to me last year. People were talking about it in Hopeful Heartbreakers, the Hopeful Heartbreakers book group on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And what people kept saying was, this god dang 750-page book. WTF, but it's amazing, incredible. Oh my God, I can't believe I sat and read through all of that. Love, love, love this book.
Okay.
And to the point where it wasn't even being referenced by its name, it was being referenced by the 750-page mother father. Like, I mean, it was, that's how people were referring to it by the page count. And so I think you weren't alone in kind of being like, do we really need this many daggone pages to tell this story? And
Yeah.
I give credit to Elle Case in that, with what she put in this story, because I think I said to you something on the lines of, it's 750 pages, but I
It's
do
really
not
two
think
books.
it is two books. It is
Yeah.
definitely two books that she just chose to combine together. And I was like, it's not like she just kind of droned on and went on cruise control for a good 200 pages where you're like, what
Yeah.
are we doing? Why are you doing this? Even when the couples might have been swirling, there were other things happening around them that was adding to this action packed, jam packed. There's so many things happening aside from the
So
love
many things
stories
happening.
that develop between these two couples, right? That
Yeah.
you're like, these folks is getting kidnapped, this baby is
The
popping up being
child,
abandoned, and
the
this
brother, the
mama's
mama, the
coming back.
sister.
It was all of that, which I think, if you look at it as it was in fact a part one and a part two that she basically combined together,
Yeah,
then
you are right.
but yeah. So I was thrilled as you were giving me your feedback in real time. Because I knew it was a good story, but I was just like, I needed you to obviously experience it for yourself, and
Yeah,
you were.
you couldn't have told me this. There was no
Mm-mm.
way that you could have conveyed this in a summary. You have to just read it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have to
Yeah.
read it.
Yeah. So with that, are you going to try and give
I'm gonna give an overarching. We're gonna try to just get on top of it best we can, 30,000 feet, and then I'm gonna turn it over
hilarious?
to you for your impressions. All right, here we go. Damon's Dream is the story of the Castle sisters, really, dealing with the consequences of the decisions of the men in their life. Dream Castle is her family's money launderer and fixer, and Diana Castle doesn't have as much of a role in the family's business, but well, let me say it this way: she don't have a role in the day-to-day operations, but she has a very important role in forging alliances with other families and other enterprises.
Yes.
And so she is betrothed to an asshole, a
Yes.
terrible person, and it's not for love. I mean, well, that's not true. Dream says that they do have an affinity for each other, and things kind of fall apart when it becomes clear that he's not who he showed himself to be.
Exactly. Exactly.
Dream, though, is scot free. Her father tried to make her sort of a pawn, or make her they, like, kind of the old school, not old school, but like, the queens and kings and how they would marry people to each other
Hmm.
to save
Yes.
the realm and bullshit. He tried to do that with her, but she was like, absolutely not. So,
And because she brought value in other
in other
ways,
ways. And
that's
so
the only
she,
reason why
right,
she got away with not.
that he
Yeah.
didn't keep pressing her.
Yeah.
And so she was able to wiggle out of that kind of arrangement for a good little while, until her brother, their brother, D'Angelo, makes a mistake. He marries a young woman who is supposed to marry into an alliance. And now that he's done that, he has crossed Dante.
Yes.
Dante, we can call a kingpin.
Yes. Yes.
And he wanted his daughter to marry a certain person to, like we said, form an alliance and have this appropriate business relationship and kind of tie some things up. And D'Angelo basically steals her away. So it's very fairy tale in that way.
Yes, yes.
And because of that, Dante is upset for a variety of reasons, and he says a line that I really enjoy because up to this point I'm 100% in. He says, "Daughter for a daughter."
Yep.
And so, if you get to take my girl, I get to take your girl. And he don't just want anybody, because there ain't no more daughters left in the Castle family. The only one that ain't tied up is Dream. And but there's a calculus here, because it's
Yes.
not just Dream, for the sake of being spiteful, although that's a part of it. He wants to pair Dream with his half brother, who had a horrible upbringing. There's
Horrible.
no
Yes.
no other way to call it. It's horrible. It's the worst kind of childhood you can have. And Dante sees that if Damien, aka Demon, finds love or companionship or friendship or just something more than being kind of the moody, um,
Loner.
loner that he is, murderous
Yes.
loner that he is, his life would be a little bit better. He'd keep his house at 28 degrees. And it's like, all right, Demon, now come on.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Yes.
his brother comes sitting outside the door. He waiting 6 and 7 minutes. You know how long 6 and 7 minutes is to wait on somebody to come to the door? It feels like an eternity. You see me out here, come downstairs. So he's just a hateful person. And so Dante feels like if he get a little love in his life, he'd be all right. So Dream is sitting in front of Dante. They're trying to hash out D'Angelo's misstep. Dante says, "Daughter for a daughter," and that's where we are. So Dreams sees Demon, her first encounter with him. He come into the room covered in blood. He just ended up beating somebody half to damn death, kill him to death, whatever. And so she is bewildered. Like, she is like, what is happening? But they go ahead and agree to this for a variety of reasons that we'll get into. And the setup is that for 30 days, she is his.
Yes.
And two things are happening. Dante is hoping that Demon will get some softness in his life, but Dante also recognizes that her being tainted by Demon ruins her on the market going forward. She's not going to be fit for anybody. Everybody's going to be scared to talk to her and touch her. And it becomes clear why soon, because Demon kills anybody that's in the room with her. But anyway,
yes. Yes.
Anybody in the room. She could be at the doctor's office getting a pap. He gonna kill a doctor. It just don't matter. So over this 30 days, they fall in love. And
yes.
there's a lot of back and forth with them, but they fall in love. Okay, pause there. Let's go over to Diana. She's supposed to marry the man, I can't remember his name, but I hate him.
Jordan Middleton.
Thank you, Jordan. She's supposed to marry him. Terrible person. Glad he's dead.
Yes.
But she finds out that he has this other side piece going. He has some subs, at least one that we've seen. But I think 2 was in the room when we first found out.
Yes, I think that's
right.
Yeah,
and so this is his side thing. This is something he enjoys doing. He had not told Diana this, and she walks in on it, and he wants her to put it in the back of her mind. He wants her to kind of take a couple days to get over it. We'll get past this. We can figure it out. And for her, like, even though this is an arranged marriage, I was hoping that there was enough love and humanity and respect and even friendship between us that you would either be honest with me or stop this.
Yes.
But you wouldn't spring it on me. I mean, she showed up at his house unannounced, but she thought he was sick. He told her he was sick. So she thought she was helping her man out, and come to find out he got the ball gag and all this bullshit he's doing. That's fine.
Yes.
So she's upset. She's like, you didn't give me you didn't keep it 100 with me. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You gotta keep it 2 Virgils, rest in peace.
Yes.
So she wants to come out of the marriage, and one of the ways that she gets that done, because she tells her daddy, and her daddy is basically like, suck it up, buttercup.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
This is an alliance that is above and beyond your little falling in love. I don't know what to tell you. These things happen.
Yeah.
She ends up at a bar that is owned by Cartier Salinas, aka Smoke. And he sees the sadness in her eyes. Actually, Smoke is the person that was supposed to marry Crystal, who D'Angelo married. So, now he out of wedding.
Yes.
But he didn't care, because he wasn't trying to be with her. No way, because his heart belongs to his first love, who died of cancer. Fine. So he's sitting across from Diana after she has been hit with this sad news that Jordan is on some bullshit. And they end up having a one night stand that actually, at that time, he's surprised by her reaction. Number one, she's a virgin, so it's Dream. So they both kind of happen into that situation with a person that they don't disclose. The fact that they
Mhm.
both of them still have hymens, and so there's a little bit of surprise in that moment.
Yep,
But
yep.
um, he expects her to be attached to him and not wanting to leave, and she putting her clothes on. She see them all,
Yes.
so
The
she
peace,
peace, I gotta
peace.
go. And
Yep.
so he becomes intrigued by her, and they cross each other's paths, sometimes intentionally, sometimes not intentionally, but all throughout them kind of developing, what kind of went from a one night stand into a friendship into a love affair. She's still supposed to marry Jordan.
Yes.
We get all the way to the wedding, and a surprise happens. They have a Whitney and Dwayne wedding.
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
and why you wear white to a wedding though?
Because he was like, listen,
He said, "You might think you having a wedding, you ain't having a wedding." So he
that's
wears
right.
white to her wedding. He busts the wedding up. They have a Whitney and Dwayne situation, which is very cute. And then they have to figure out how he's going to disentangle his heart from his deceased wife,
Yes.
and figure out how to find room and love and like make room in his life for Diana.
Yes.
Diana gets taken. So here again, we into the fantasy where she gets taken by the villain out of her castle, and they have to find her and get her back, and to save the realm, whatever. There's so much I've left out,
There is a lot that you left out. Yes.
but that kind of gives you. Okay, wait, hold on. So back to Dream. They don't. Shit. What happens at the end between Demon and Dream?
The,
I know they end up with a bunch of children. Did they get married? They get married.
it was
Is it
unclear
unclear? Because I know
to
that the
me if
very
they were married.
last.
I think that was my assumption, but I don't
Yeah,
know that it was explicit.
the
I don't
very
remember.
last chapter or scene is 10 years later with their
Yes.
child Declan. I
Declan.
feel like they're married, and I don't even remember if they actually get engaged. But anyhow, they together, they got a bunch of
Yes.
children.
Yes.
um
But
so
God, the journey to that is like,
we'll
yeah.
get into it, because believe me, I have things to say. I have things to say. But anyway, both of them end up in a happily ever after. It is a rocky road in both relationships, but despite it all, you want who you want, you love who you love. So you got to
Yes.
make your own calculus on how much you're gonna deal with, to get to your happily ever after. Attorney General, what were your thoughts and impressions when you finished the book?
Well, first off, I can remember thinking that it was 750 pages well spent,
Yeah, I can
right?
say that.
And did even back then was like, okay, this was basically two books that she chose to put together. But
Mhm.
like I remember thinking she did not waste a ton of pages,
Mhm.
which I was skeptical because I wasn't familiar with her writing. So I was like, really,
Yeah, I don't know how
really,
you're
you
gonna do that.
needed,
Yeah.
yeah, you needed that much. And how much I just really loved and enjoyed so many things about this story, the two couples, the things that were the ancillary things that were added in, the ups and downs of this journey.
Mhm.
I just remember walking away like it was well done. It was
Yeah.
well done. For choosing to do it in the massive 750 pages as opposed to splitting it up, and loving Demon, right? Absolutely loving Demon.
Not all the time though. Let's
No, no,
Yeah,
not all the
okay.
time. It was like
Okay.
love is not blind. But that from the very beginning, with us being in his head, right? She was giving you reasons to root for him and to be
Yeah, and
patient
I
with
loved him in the
him.
beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, and to give grace. And you were like, okay, so yes, he is a cold-blooded murderer when called for, but you find out very quickly that Demon has a code, right? That
Mhm.
Demon does not harm women and children, that that he meets out justice,
Right.
right? And yes, he allows his reputation to just be that he kills with abandon, but
Mhm.
that's not Demon, right? Well, we also find out very quickly is Demon begins softening almost immediately,
Yeah, to her.
right?
Yeah.
To her, both in word and in action. And I appreciated that it was, but then it was not this like long slog
Mm-hmm.
to getting to Demon's vulnerability, right? Demon was very, very direct,
Yeah.
rude at times, right? It was
At
directness,
times.
bordering on rude, and
Oh,
sometimes just outright
all
rudeness
the
at
time.
times. And then of course he had the times when he got vicious, right?
Phew,
Where he
girl.
got vicious,
Oh, the
and you'd
water
be
he didn't
like,
try. He waterboarded that girl.
he did waterboard her.
I said,
And
"This is
you
oof,
find out, right, it's because he
the
was
why."
triggered, but it
Yeah,
wasn't, not that that made it okay, right? But again, that was not coming from a place of, that was coming just from
it
that
wasn't.
awful childhood
Yeah,
place, right? It wasn't
yeah.
Demon just being
He
evil.
wasn't sadistic.
Exactly. Exactly.
He had some
Right.
shit with him though, because he was mean with them words.
He was
Even
vicious
when
with
she
the
wasn't even
words.
bothering him, he was talking so crazy. And I want to be like, girl, just put a switchblade in your pocket.
Yeah, no, he would definitely, and that's why it's like it was so heartbreaking when they have the huge
Oh
blowout,
yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
Where they both got really vicious with each other. And I was just like, no, 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 because we knew how vicious he could get. We
hmm
also knew that she knew how to hit below the belt too.
Yeah, but she
Um,
says it. She said, "How could he love something? How could he love me? His own mama wouldn't love him, or something." She
yeah,
said. I said, "Ooh,
it was the gloves were off and the brass knuckles were on, right?
yeah."
Which just was, you were like, oh, not after all this progress y'all have made, and
hmm
to watch that fall apart in that way. So I really love this story. And she did a great job. Like, she really did a great job.
Yeah,
Smoke and Diana were at times more frustrating for me than Demon and Dream.
that's interesting.
But
Okay.
because I felt like they swirled more to me,
Hmm.
right? They swirled more. And I
hmm
what I had to remember though was that I had to remind myself that the timeline with them is a very short one, right?
Yeah.
Like, they literally meet a few days before the wedding. He shows up at the wedding and he does he was more gangster than Dwayne, right? Because he was just like, Diana, come here.
Right.
And she turned and left Jordan at the altar, and they start having a fit, and then Demon stands up and
He reached for
Dante's
his,
people
he reaching
stand
his
up.
back, and
It
somebody else
was
stand up
like
reaching their back.
that scene was just laid out in a way you're like, oh shit, they about to shoot out in the
It's gonna
church.
be a wrap.
But it was like, now what? Like you said, it's like we made this impulsive decision, Dante to show up at the wedding and to stand up and object, and Diana to go with him, and then they go on a trip together. But it's like, it's still only been a couple of days.
Well, and
And
she says he may have gotten me out of this wedding, but he ain't promised me nothing else.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so I had to remember, as they were swirling a little bit and I was getting frustrated with them seemingly talking in circles to each other, that the time frame was still a very short time frame in terms
Yeah.
of when all of that was happening, right? You talking about like the first 30 days,
hmm
45 days that all of that was happening, and her father had cut her off and all of that, which then
Which
just
was
made me kind of
ridiculous.
step back and was like, okay,
Big fucking
yeah.
dummy.
Well, I mean, the father's one of the people that needed to be stabbed, and he does. I mean, he gets
Yeah.
shot by
Thank
his
God.
wife, because
Done with him.
that was just a very, the way the father went off the rails was just,
It was weird.
it was very weird. It was very bizarre. And that was one of those things where you're like, huh. But in the end, and it didn't, I wasn't sure that there was any other way but for the father to end up dead, right? He had done so much damage, because he's the reason that Jordan is able to kidnap Diana. He brings
Right.
her to
Right.
him. No, I'm sure he had no idea that Jordan was going to beat and torture his
hmm
daughter. Um, but the fact that he would have turned his daughter over to begin with was just kind of like,
That and I mean, okay, so she gave us the reason. She says that he's trying to expand, and there's a little bit of an allusion to the fact that he's still under his father-in-law's shadow.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
It
so
just,
I
yeah,
understood the marrying for the alliance. I
yes,
even understood sit down with this boy and talk it through. You done ran off and embarrassed the family. You the second
yes,
person in this family that's done some shit against me. But he really just lost, and his wife tells him, you just lost sight of everything that mattered.
exactly.
Yeah.
That was the bottom line, right? Because I agree with you, the notion of it from his perspective as a businessman, it's like, yes, as a father, I want you to be happy, but this is not a love match. This is, but
Mhm.
that's not the thrust of this. And you went into this eyes wide open. So if he's
Right.
doing a little cheating on the side, I mean,
What you
and
want me to
it's
do?
and on the one hand, it's not like the father said, well, because I've done that to your mother, but it was almost like he was so matter of fact about it. You almost wondered
These
if he
things
was,
happen.
yeah,
Yeah.
these things happen. Your mother's still here. I managed to keep her happy, so on and so forth. So even though that
Right.
specifically wasn't on the page, it was clear that from his perspective, it's like this is par for the course.
Right.
And so he thought Diana was just being, dramatic,
She's just
and
been a baby.
he didn't know. Even look, Jordan being into a little BDSM, that's not that doesn't automatically take you to
No.
Jordan beating the hell out of her
Exactly.
and literally whipping her to the point where he's opening flesh
I
on her
was like,
back,
this
and
is what is happening?
it went really, really
It
dark.
went dark.
And I was like, Lord have mercy, like
A
this has
chapter?
taken a turn.
Right.
Um, but it just I love the grandfather, right? The
Yeah.
grandfather
Yeah.
was, old gangster, and he could see things clearly, from D'Angelo's foolishness to Demons developing feelings
Yeah.
for Dream at the outset to peeping that Smoke was clearly deeper in with his granddaughter than even
Right.
Smoke was prepared to admit. And Grandpa was just like, look,
Wait, what scene was it when he had the Desert Eagle in his lap? I think Jordan came to visit
it was Isaac. It was the
Isaac.
guy, Isaac.
Oh yeah, because this is Dream. That wasn't
Yes,
Diana.
this was
This
Dream.
was
He
Dream. I
rolls
said
up and
not a
he's got
Desert
the
Eagle.
yeah, he had the designee sitting in his lap, was like, you's leaving, right? Oh, okay,
Oh,
just
I just
making
want to make sure
sure.
you was on your way.
And then he, absolutely approving, once it became clear that Demon had murdered Isaac for slapping Dream,
Yeah.
and Grandpa was like, yeah, nigga got what he
It's what I would
deserved.
have done.
Because
Yeah.
exactly, that's what he did what needed to happen.
Yeah.
Um, so it's just so many things that were happening in the story that kind of coming back to Smoke and Diana, like again, giving them grace for when they were swirling a little bit, but there were other things happening. Cause I think had that had there not been other things going on with Demon and Dream, some of the other characters that are coming forward, that could have been one of those things where you're like, all right, I'm getting annoyed now. Like, okay,
Yeah.
enough already. But even because you had called my attention to a certain stretch, right? And it's like when
Yeah.
both
And
of
I
the
was like,
couples
man, we have
are
done
like,
so much.
yeah,
What are we
are
gonna do now?
antagonizing each
Yeah.
other. And as I went back to that, I was reminded this is when Melanie and Cameron show up, right?
Yes.
And Demon, the nightmares, and then he calls the sex worker
Yeah,
to
child.
try and get his mind off of Dream, and they have that situation. And
Like a
now
big
he's
damn dummy.
yes, and he's reeling and adjusting to the fact that he has this younger brother, still not knowing where his sister Kiana is after all of these years, and what that all dredges up. We
Mm-hmm.
have this old enemy, Keith, that has reemerged from prison.
Yep.
Damien killed his sister and his girlfriend, because they were raping him and pimping him out because his mother had sold him to this woman to pay off her
Yeesh.
drug debt. It was just a lot happening
Yeah.
while the two couples were swirling a little bit, and
Mm-hmm.
so I think that helped, um, where you would get a little impatient with them. These other things were going on where that was not, the swirling was not necessarily the focal point of
Right.
the story,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
In those moments, so that you're like, oh, but all these other things are happening over here, and we got new adjustments because now we've got new people added, we've got new and old threats that are back in the picture, we've got new family members that are in the picture now. What do we
Right.
do? A Demon
And
adjusting
sister
to the
came
fact,
back and yeah.
yeah, all of that, right? The
Then
sister
they
he
find the
finds,
little girls in the back of the car unattended. I said,
yes.
Lord.
Yes, and we find again the demon had this code about women and children because the book opens right with from the perspective
Yeah.
of Eve,
Eve's
who we know
boyfriend or
is
whoever he was.
yeah, Eve is Demon's childhood friend, probably
Mm-hmm.
his only real friend,
Mm-hmm.
her baby daddy. So the
Yep.
book opens with her baby daddy being confronted by Demon and ultimately killed because he had been hitting on Eve and their son.
Mm-hmm.
and Demon beats him to death, right? And that's how the book opens. And you're like, oh, well, all right then.
That's what I said. I said,
Okay. Well,
okay.
peace out, Marshall. I guess that had to happen the way it had to happen.
Right, right.
And so kind of fast forwarding to what you just raised about the little girls, Mia and Haley, yeah, it's another one of those instances where we're seeing Demon's code about women and children, and the woman, Miss Hazel, who tried to protect him and certainly
Mm-hmm.
took care of him as much as she could when he was a child. He routinely brings her, the impression that we get is that he has brought her children in trouble in the past,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
in this, when we intersect with Demon, and he and Dream are now in love. Dream has confessed it, he has not confessed it, but it's clear that he feels it. But he stumbles across these two little girls, and their mother's a drug addict and she's a
Yeah.
prostitute, and leaves them in the car alone. And here we go again with Damien, swooping in as a savior,
Right.
to those that needed to be saved, right? To reminding him of himself. And he has these moments with his brother where he can be very cutting and mean and
Mm-hmm.
cold, but then also moments where he sees himself in his brother Cameron, and is then mindful of what he says, right? Like
Yeah.
when Cameron asked him to take him to go get some sketch pads and some pencils, and Demon's like, you know, I remember what it felt like for people to try and crush my dream. I would never want to crush someone's
Mm-hmm.
dreams. And so,
Mm-hmm.
kind of very quickly says, oh, there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you're into. I know a story, you can get some good stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
it was like those flashes, they weren't few and far in between, which I think really balanced out when Demon could be demonic.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, wow,
It's too much. You're not being nice.
you really just said that. Wow. And I mean, Dream gave, I would say gave as good as she got, but Dream was not some
She
wilting flower,
tried.
right?
Yeah.
She definitely would stand up for herself. She would curse him out. She'd be like, unacceptable. And in the beginning, he was kind of like, I don't care. This is what it is. You belong to me for the
Yeah.
next 30 days. I'm gonna fuck you however I want, so on and so forth. But you see the softening, like I said, quickly happening, where he starts sometimes not, sometimes biting his tongue, sometimes it's just softening his retort to
Yeah.
her,
Yeah.
or backing down when she's like, enough.
Mm-hmm.
um but it was still tough to watch it sometimes, because you're like, nigga, like, dang, why? Wow.
It's too much.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah,
all right already.
yeah.
Like, yeah, I would agree with you. I think I have a love-hate relationship with Demon. When I loved him, I loved him. When I did not, I did not.
Yeah.
And I there was so much choking out and yelling, and it was, I was like, I'm you know me, you know what I do for a living. So between him murdering anybody that she happened to walk by, to he yoking her up, and he calling
That's a
out,
little excessive.
I was
It was
like,
not everyone. We can go through the
there were at
men.
least 4, maybe even 6 murders in the pre 30 days. They ain't started getting away yet, I don't think. But it was, he killed, because anyway, he killed Isaac. He snapped somebody's neck in the club.
Let's go back. He kills Isaac for slapping Dream.
But did he need to be murdered? Maybe he
I
needed to be in a
understand.
diversion program.
I understand. But he
There are
slapped her.
groups for domestic abusers.
He slapped her, and that's when Demon did what he did.
He did.
The guy Smith in the club, I thought that was excessive. But he said Demon had warned him, and he felt the need to say one more thing.
He did,
and
but
that did not go well.
Smith is the cousin or nephew of Dante's wife.
Yes.
And so she said, "Hi, I'm gonna tell him with your boy." God damn.
Yes, but he told him, he said, you should find something safe to do. And Smith was like, well, when you're done, maybe we could share the bitch. And it was like,
bodies on bodies on bodies. Like, he was not playing around. So he was into murdering people, that's for sure. I mean, hey. But when I loved him, I loved him. When I hated him, I hated him. I appreciated, like, so one of the things you said to me up front was that she lets you into his head. but which was good because then I could feel for him, especially as he, thought through how he was feeling about Dream. But then at the same time, I would be mad because in his head, he would be thinking about her and wanting to be around her and missing her. And then out of his mouth, he would say some slick shit or he wouldn't.
Yes.
And I would just be like, God damn, boy,
Yes. Yes.
like,
But it was the reminder that he had never had a
that
girlfriend,
he had
right? He
never
had
had a
never
girlfriend.
had a
He didn't know.
girlfriend.
Yeah, he
He
didn't
didn't
know what he
know
was doing.
anything
Mm-mm.
about that. And even in his interactions with his own brother, right? With Dante, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
what we know is that Dante and Demon did not meet Dante and his father
He was
until
14.
he's like 14,
Mm-hmm.
right? And by then, he was like, as he describes himself, like he was off the rails.
Mm-hmm.
And so even though his father got him therapy and, taught him about opening doors and things of that
Right.
nature, like Demon
Right.
was still so, 14 years, right, of what he had experienced. So everything that he was experiencing with Dream was for the first time. And so you figure Demon was like 29, 30, I think,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because
Yeah.
Dream is what, like 24?
Yeah.
Um, and all of it was, and I'm not excusing the behavior at all, right? Because I agree with you that in the moments where you hated Demon, you were just kind of like, nigga,
Come on,
like,
man. Help me root
come
for you.
on, what are you doing? Um, and so it was satisfying to watch him, like, again, catching himself and backtracking on things or
Yeah.
letting things go instead of immediately. There's one I was just kind of perusing it again earlier today, and I forget what the circumstances was, but she tells him shut up, and he's like, I'm about to check her because ain't nobody told me to shut up in a long
Right.
time. I'm about to put her in a place. We are not gonna let that slide. And then she giggled, and he
Mm-hmm.
was like, all right, I'll just let that go. But it was things like that where you're just kind of like, okay, right? Because he was ready to let her
Right.
know and put her in her place, and then she giggled. And then he was like, all right, I'll let her rock for now. I will address it at some point, but I'm gonna let her rock for now.
Right.
Those moments, thankfully, were not so. I think Elle did a great job of giving you enough of those moments. They weren't like so few and far in between for me,
Mm-hmm.
where I felt like it was like I was mostly in the desert, and every now and then she'd give me a trickle of water, right?
Mm-hmm.
I felt like we were constantly getting those flashes, and then it started getting more and more, like when we get to her birthday and he has really thought through
Yeah.
what would she like,
Mm-hmm.
right? What will make her happy? Even the menu, he's like, we shouldn't be starting with enchiladas, but this is what she
Right.
likes, so this
Right.
is all about
Right.
her. The thoughtfulness, and then of course the plot twist of learning that he is her favorite artist,
Artists. Mm-hmm.
that all this time, right, this painter that she has been, whose work she's been obsessed with,
And it's
it's
hanging in her
him.
office.
It's
Mm-hmm.
hanging in her office, and she's like, oh my God, K Reed, K Reed, K Reed. And we, find out not too long before she does, we know that he's an artist, but we don't know that he is the infamous K Reed. And then he
Mm-hmm.
reveals it, and it's like, oh, look at that, because
Right.
for her birthday, he gives her a one of a kind. And he's like, yeah, no, this has never been. She's like,
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen this before. She's like, well, because this has never been, publicly shown. It's never been on the
Right.
market. So there was just enough of that allowed me. Whereas I think, look, we've read other stories with heroes that we ultimately come around to,
Mm-hmm.
but we're made to wait, I think, longer for the payoff. And I felt like she started making like small deposits very early.
Yeah.
Maybe it's
Yeah.
because she knew that Demon was something else, and it was like, I can't wait. I gotta give him small deposits early and often, because otherwise
Right.
they're gonna hate this nigga. And
He's a hot mess for sure. And
want her.
so I had to, when I got to put the book in my brain a certain way. Okay. So I loved how it opened. Loved it.
Mhm.
Loved how it opened
Mhm.
with Marshall, and he opened the door and he demon like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and because she immediately shows you how terrifying he is and
Yep.
how people should be afraid. And I love that. I love the daughter for a daughter. I'm like, okay, I'm all in. We setting it up. Now, when we get into the yoking up and the choking up and the stuff and the shut the fuck up and all, I said, oh, I was struggling
Yeah.
with it, but I said, all right, it's urban.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
this is what happens in the urbans. But to your point, there was more balance than I was actually expecting.
Mhm.
But I also, the therapist in me was like, safety, 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 call the police. I was like, get away from this man,
Yeah.
because this back and forth actually is the cycle of violence.
Yeah.
So it's going to keep getting worse, girl. Like, he don't want her around nobody. So okay. So I was struggling with romanticizing some of his treatment of her,
Yeah.
but at the same time just recognizing, as you have said often, which is appropriate, is that in fiction you have a little room
Yeah. Yeah.
to move around more than you would if this was another kind of story, because I was like, hey,
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
some of this is not all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah. A
um
lot of it was not all right, right? A lot
yeah,
of it was not all right. And you just kind of you go into stories like this with like, okay, it's going to be a lot of stuff about this. It's not all right, but we're going to see where it goes.
let's see
We're
where
going
it
to go
goes and see
on
where we
this
end up.
journey.
Right. And so by the end of it, and I will say that there were like some tonal shifts that like helped you feel better about where you were. So
Mhm. Mhm.
like I was talking to somebody about this book and I was like, it really is a combination of things. It's like The Notebook, What's Love Got to Do with It, The Best Man, Fast and Furious. Like, because by the time you at the end, it's full Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Like, Ammo is his Alfred. He opened up the gun closet. We got heat seeking things to tell you how many bodies is in the room. I'm on the laptop. We got the reinforced G Wagons. Like, by the time it's at the end, you in a Fast and Furious Mission Impossible kind of scenario. Like, no problem. There were other points in the book where it was very clearly like the familial play between Dante and him,
Yep.
and between her and him, and kind of how much he misses her, and she still got to get him to go to work. He trying to trap her in the house, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
in like a violent way. He just don't want to spend no time away from her if he can help it.
Yes.
And he and Smoke, so then they end up with the family brunch, which like then
Yes.
you get like the best man action where it's clear,
Hilarious.
right, that we're all friends and family at this point, and we just gonna try to make the best of it. He got on the sassy kitchen bitch or something. What it say?
Yes.
Sassy
Kitchen
something.
diva.
Kitchen
Kitchen
diva.
diva.
And so, we also have the tonal shift that takes you there once it's clear to both Smoke and to Demon that it's no coming out. I'm in and I
Right.
can't get out. Like, I love
Right.
her and that's it.
Right.
And so I'm gonna do what makes her happy. And
Yes.
they make fun of each other for that.
Yes.
And then, there are moments, especially in the early days with the dreams, and as he starts to open up with her about his abuse and his history, and it always ending in go to sleep dream. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And him
Yeah.
wanting to let her in, but also recognizing that if I open this door to let you in, some other shit gonna get out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so now I'm having dreams and now I'm having a hard time, and I'm trying to control all of what happens when I revisit these times,
Yeah.
while recognizing that I don't have the tools for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so he was doing his best, but just sometimes his best wasn't good enough.
Right. I think
But
that's
I
a great way
also
to put it.
understood her hanging around because
Yes.
love is not rational.
Yes.
And he gave her some things and showed her some things and created kind of a bubble for her that her father didn't create. You know what I mean? Like she kind of got like thrown to the wolves in this.
Yes.
And it
Yes.
was it was lucky that he was a kind beast.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
But it was still very Beauty and the Beast.
Because that was not the intention, right? Like the
No.
intention was that, you know, Dante, of course, knowing that Demon is not this awful, horrible person, but also knowing that Demon is very rough around the edges,
Yes.
very cold, right? So it's not like Dante thought it was going to be a pleasant experience for Dream, but he knew that Demon would not abuse her, mistreat her and like abuse her, I should say, right? Like he
Yeah.
wouldn't like beat her or anything like that, right? He
Mhm.
really just wanted the taint. He wanted the taint on the reputation. And
Right,
like you
right.
said, he also wondered if this could be an experiment where Dream might bring some things out of Demon that, would bring Demon happiness, right? And from Darius, that's Dream's father, he was in a catch 22
Yeah.
because in light of what had happened, he did not have much to offer. So that when Dante was like, daughter for, in fairness to, and this is the only thing I would say for the father, because initially he was not down with it. It was Dream that was like, fine.
Right.
The father was like, no, let's figure
Yes.
something else out, because he was horrified at
Right.
the thought of it being Demon.
Right.
Dream was the one swooping in to save D'Angelo, which
Mhm.
her grandfather tells her stop doing it.
Yep.
I appreciated Demon like being like, you better, not try and save him again. Like, let
Mhm.
him sit with the consequences of his decisions
Mhm.
instead of you always stepping and trying to save him. Um, but the father was in a bind where, because of what his son had done,
Right.
when Dante Ware was like a daughter for a daughter, it was like, what we supposed to do?
Right. Right. Right.
So it just uh it was all of those things kind of coming together. And you're right, the way that Damien really starts protecting Dream's honor,
Mhm.
defending Dream's honor,
Yep. Yep.
right?
Yep. Yep. Because her father says some things he shouldn't say, and I think he says she's ruined or something.
Yeah, he says she's
Yeah.
ruined. And at the brunch when Damien is like, put your hands on her again,
Right.
and it'll be the last thing you do.
Right.
Right? And
Right.
you find out the mother didn't know, the grandfather didn't know that
Right.
he had choked Dream, you
So many
know.
people fail her and Diana.
Yeah, yeah. They really
Yeah.
did. They really did. Because the mother, like, look, the mother ends up killing her husband, but it was sad that it got all the way to that point
Right.
before she stepped up for her daughters.
Right.
Um, there was a
And
little bit too much kind of letting it be what it needed to be, seemingly from the mother's perspective, because the mother had also grown up in this lifestyle, right? Her
right.
father was a gangster and
Right.
whatnot. Her mother was murdered because of it.
And him
Um,
paralyzed. Yeah.
yeah, and him paralyzed, and the mother doesn't step up until so much has happened,
Right.
you know.
And I
Um,
wondered about that. Like I wondered about we didn't get a lot about them.
mhm,
Um but I wondered what her feelings were as all of this was progressing,
mhm.
and we didn't get a lot of Dream confiding in her.
No.
And so I even wondered about like the depth of their relationship.
Yeah, my sense
Um,
was even how it was described, because you're right, we don't get it a lot, but the way that she was describing just a couple of things leading up to the wedding, my sense was that they both felt like their mother was just window dressing. Like, yes, she
yeah,
loved her children, but she was, more fixated and focused on this perfect wedding and so on and so forth. And it's not until things have gone horribly, horribly wrong
right,
that the mother seems to like snap out of it and wake up, to be
right.
like, this is not okay. Like, you've taken this too far with our children. Um, so on and so forth. But it's like, all right, mama, but like, hello, where you been?
Was you
Where
not
you
there
been?
the day that it happened? Where was you?
Right, because if I'm not mistaken, right, the mother, the their parents, not, they didn't go against her parents, but wasn't there something where it's like, he is not who her father would have chosen for him or something like
I
that?
believe so. I
It's
would
a
have to go
very
back though.
similar kind of like,
Yeah.
she got to choose the man that she loved, and yet she was allowing him to push this, well, Diana got to marry and do this arranged marriage thing for the family.
Right.
And
Right.
I guess part of it was because Diana wasn't fighting it, because she did it, prior to what she learns of Jordan, like you said, she did believe herself to be in love with Jordan, and then realizes that she's like, he's not who I thought he was. So
Mhm.
whoever I loved was not who Jordan actually is. So it might
Yeah.
have been that the mother was like, well, my daughter, it's not like my daughter's unhappy.
Yeah.
She loves him. She's excited about this wedding, so on and so
Yeah.
forth.
I am waiting on and it could I am very new to reading this genre um of romance. And so I'm waiting on a queen pen though. Like I'm
Mm,
waiting on a matriarch
mm-hmm,
that the men are to the side doing what she say. So
mm.
I'm sure it's out there. And if y'all listeners, if you go on Facebook and message when I post this episode, message in the comments the queen pen, because that's what I'm looking for. Because in all of it is just very well, let me say it this way. This was designed to demonstrate the incompetence of the men in her life,
Yes.
or the men in the family, period.
Yes.
And that, with the exception of the grandfather, and that it was the men outside of their family that owed them nothing
Yes.
that actually ended up respecting them and being their saving grace and kind of
Yes.
helping them along and protecting them. But that, the men that they were either supposed to be with or their father, just they didn't do it. Even the brother, you late to every party, every time.
Seriously. Well, that's why when Demon knocked him out and dragged him across the table at
Yeah.
brunch, the grandfather was like, "About time."
Yeah, because what are you going through, D'Angelo? Like you are ruining my nerves.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, child, he was
He,
irritating. But
he was very irritating.
so and yeah, she tried to redeem him at the end when they find Diana, and Deanna say, kill that bitch, and he put her
Yeah,
down. But that was all he was good for. I said, why
yeah.
don't you go help Crystal pick out a crib?
Seriously,
You
he was
Anytime
worthless.
you come in the room, you wrong.
He was
Anyway.
loud and wrong.
Loud and wrong.
Loud and
Anyway,
wrong.
all right. And he
Yeah,
was a twin. I said, boy,
yeah.
you ain't worth a nickel around here. Um, you supposed to be helping. What do you do for a living?
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay, so I think we've done impressions. I would say it was a lot of things, and I enjoyed 87% of the thing. If there was 13%, it's because I perceived that somebody was being mistreated and it irritated me. But
That's fair.
overall,
No, that's fair.
I can't say I didn't, because I got through all of it in like
Yeah.
2 days, maybe
I
even a
was
day and a half.
I was when you were telling me where you were at certain points, and I was like, "Wait a minute,
I was moving.
she's burning through this
Uh-huh.
book. Wow!" And then you were like, "Oh, well, I took a day or two off, whatever it was." But still, because I just knew, that you were going to take 2 weeks.
I did too. I did too. And then when I finished, I said, let's record on Monday.
Yeah, yes,
Because I
yes.
wanted to talk about it. So I did enjoy the journey, even if there were bumps that I was like, hey, I'm gonna talk to Elle
Right,
Kayson at Behind the Pen.
right,
Don't you write
right,
this again. Don't you have
right.
not one more woman go through this.
Yes, yes.
But tap her on the shoulder when I meet her. I'm
And
scared of her though. Now I'm not gonna treat her like I'm gonna treat the other ones that we promised to meet, because from what she writing, I'm gonna keep my distance. I'm gonna put it
well,
in a letter.
yes.
I'm gonna roll it up in a sheet of paper and pass it to her. Then I'm gonna run. Because what she writing right here, I don't want to be nowhere around her. I don't want to be
It's
nowhere
funny
around her.
because she reminds me of I think her and M. Monique share in common the ability to like write these right, kind of what we talked about with M. Monique, that it's urban, but the love story is robust, and you're getting these sweet, not like, oh, I guess in the context of urban that's sweet, but like objectively
Yeah,
sweet
yeah,
moments with these couples that you fall in love with, and or just really enjoy watching them fall in love in the midst of the urban
right.
crazy.
Yeah.
Right. And then I agree with you that this one kind of it went beyond urban, because it went into
Listen, I'm not gonna walk
different.
up to her. I
Yeah, it
told you I'm
went
gonna fold
into
it up in a sheet of paper.
some lanes that were surprising me. You're like, oh, I was not expecting that. Okay, all right, well, we going with it.
She
We
got
going
something
with it.
going on the inside. I'm a therapist. I can tell when something is happening. I'm gonna write it on a sheet of paper. I'm gonna fold it. I'm gonna give it to you, and you gonna hand it
Ah,
to her, and I'm
oh,
gonna be on the other side
nice,
of the room. I'm
nice,
not fooling around with this
nice.
lady. Did you read the beginning of this book? Did you read the beginning?
She ends up
How the
writing us
man had a
into a
hood over his
story.
head and he looked up with a smile.
Yeah.
I said, oh, okay. Okay.
Like a demon. Like a
Like a
demon.
demon. And I
Like
said, I'm gonna
true.
leave her alone. I'm gonna fold it up in a sheet of paper. I ain't worried about it.
And
Mhm.
speaking of even his name, right? The
Right.
very first exchange where she's
Yes.
like demon, and he says, no, no, you call me Damien. You
Yes.
call me Damien.
Yes. Yes.
From the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Because when Diana, fast forward a little bit, when Diana tries to call him Damien, he said, no, 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 demon.
Demon.
You call me
You
demon.
use the other one. You
Right.
don't worry about
You and everybody else call me demon.
it.
We're gonna stick with demon.
Yes. Yes.
But from the very first exchange, he did not want Dream calling him demon.
Nope.
Um, so
And I'm
yeah,
gonna
those,
tell you, go ahead, sorry.
yeah, no, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I will say that not to harp on this point, but I do want to highlight it again, is that, and you were right about this, and I'm glad you told me. If not for the benefit of his internal monologue, I would have found out who this lady is, and I would have sent somebody to a house.
Agree.
I would have said something is happening with her because you want to check on somebody that can write this. You want to really check on them. But from day one, it was something about her and it was something about him. And if that had
Yes.
been missing, if you didn't know that they were on the way to figuring out, mostly him, how he was going to operate in the world with another human, like, it was just critical. The pining, the thinking about her,
Agree.
all of that was necessary to bring humanity to him.
Yes.
Because without it, I would have been like, how can I help a fictional character? How can
I
I call the police to support a person that is not real but is in danger? Like,
agree 1,000%.
that was
And
so necessary.
yeah, it was so necessary. And she just gave us details. Because look, we're typically, right, first person, we're typically in the person's
Mm-hmm.
head. But even with that being said, we see characters not sharing as much and
Right.
or lying to us and themselves.
Right.
Right. And
Right.
from the very beginning, Demon was sharing a lot with us in his
Mm-hmm.
head,
Mm-hmm.
and he was not lying to himself. He would
Right.
say things like, I love when she touches me, and I don't want to dig too deep to
Right.
really
Right.
focus on what that means.
Right. Right.
Right. So he was self-aware, and he shares with her that he had been to therapy before, right? That his
Mm-hmm.
father had sent him to therapy. So it's like,
Dance lessons too.
right, dance lessons. So it's like we saw that, kind of going back to a point you made about not having the tools, right? It was like he didn't have, I think it was a combination of both choosing not to use the tools that had been put in front of him in his prior experience,
Mm-hmm.
and or not being able to receive those tools at that time because he was still just so angry,
Yeah.
and there wasn't the motivation to want to try and let go of that anger and to think about interacting with people differently,
Right.
until he meets this woman, right? And it's like the more I think about Dante, kind of masterminding this, is like it dropped in his lap in terms of opportunity, but we
Right.
saw Dante have the idea before the opportunity dropped in his lap, right? So he
Right.
was thinking that his brother needed a soft spot and
Because
wishing
he
that
made him
he,
stand on the porch for 5 minutes. I want you to stand on your own porch for 5 minutes. That is an eternity, and that is an asshole move. I will also say about the issue of the tools, if you are accustomed to building a house with a hammer, let's say a handsaw, this is probably better. If you are accustomed to building a house with a handsaw, if somebody gives you a table saw, might be better,
mm,
might be faster, I'm not comfortable using it.
mm,
And so it's going to sit in the garage because
mm-hmm,
I'm not comfortable using it. I'm comfortable
mm-hmm,
with this handsaw. And
mm-hmm,
so as much as he could have gone through things from 14 to 28 where Dante and Dante's father were trying to acclimate him to the world, I'm still just comfortable snapping necks.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
and so you can talk to me about talking to people and asking this boy to go away and tell him whatever, but let me tell you what I know how to do.
yeah.
Now, everybody else know how to talk. I know how to snap necks. Like,
Even things like food, right? Where he
yes,
says, I used to dig through the trash. So like food is not a thing for me, right? But we find out he's an excellent cook, right? But
yeah,
he's not, those kinds of things don't impress him. Like it's clear that He takes excellent care of himself. He's good looking, right? Clearly, with his dreads, they're well maintained. He wears certain jewelry and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But like Demon is still, for all intents and purposes, he is that little kid,
Right.
right? That had nothing, that was scrapping
That was
and
watching his sister get burned with a cigarette.
watching his sister get burned
Yeah.
with a cigarette and all of those things. And here comes Dream, who is they're thrown together and he's drawn to her, and to her credit, she does not back down. Which, think about that, right?
Yep.
Because even I'm thinking things like her administrative assistant, who's like,
Mm-hmm.
who lets him in without even warning Dream, right? And she's like, don't do that again, Dream. And the assistant's like, Dream, I know his reputation, I'm not trying to die, right? Like, so you were going to have to just deal with whatever he wanted to discuss with you, because
Mm-hmm.
I know of Demon. And so just even think of having the wherewithal to be like, no, you're not going to behave any kind of way. You're not going to talk to me any kind of way. And I'm just going to sit there and take it. There were definitely times where he, brought her to tears and made her cry, but she would still fight back.
Right.
Um, and so it's the reminder of like the age old story about bullies, right? That like
Mm-hmm.
bullies back down to people who stand up to them. But more often
Right.
than not, people are afraid to stand up to them. So the bully just goes unchallenged.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's because this was more than just, so she loves him, out of his
No, she was
trauma. And
conflicted. She was
she was
struggling with it.
definitely conflicted. She was definitely conflicted. And
And he was too, because even,
yeah,
there's one scene where he talks about how he wants to walk away from her, but he just go by the bracelet. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
it was,
yeah,
I can't remember what he was doing, if they were out together or what, but somehow he says, like, I should walk away. I should tell her, kiss my, you know what I'm saying?
yes,
I should
yes,
mush her in the head and get in the car and leave.
yes,
But
yes, yes,
he kept his mouth shut and he went in the store with her, did whatever the
yes,
next thing he was gonna do for her. And so he was struggling with it as much as she would. And the times that he was volatile or explosive, when she had it in her, she clapped back. If he was too far, on the other side of wrong, then she would try to get away from him, and he
yeah,
would immediately feel bad about it. But this is what I mean by the cycle of abuse, and you got to be very careful trying to
yes,
make it seem like
agreed,
this, there's a happily ever after with
agreed.
this, but
No,
it's a
agreed.
fiction, and we know that if it's not real. So amen.
Now that I agree with 1,000%, right? That like, even with as much as we get in Demon's head, right? You and I have talked about the danger
Don't you do
of,
this in real life.
right, of romanticizing this, because it's like, because in real life you're not in the person's head and
And
you have
you
no idea if they are
meaning,
thinking
right, if
though
they
that
are
way about
apologizing
you.
in their mind or not.
That's right. That's right. And waiting for that, or assuming that's what's going on, has seen many women, waste years and
Mm-hmm.
good years and mental
Or
and
worse yet,
emotional
be
health.
murdered thinking that you
Exactly.
understand somebody that you don't really understand.
Exactly. Exactly.
But yeah, so there's that. So that was the love, the what's love got to do with it of it all. But
Yeah. Yeah.
thankfully Tina got out, and Demon got himself together so Dream could be happy and in love.
Yes.
R.I.P. Miss Turner.
Amen.
All right. One more thing I'll say before we get into the loves, the likes, and the hates and the surprises is I was not happy to see, but I appreciated her commenting on young Black boys being abused,
Yeah.
and sexually abused.
Yeah.
Not because it's a topic that I want to talk about, because I don't. It makes me so sad. But I
Yeah.
think that we, not just in general in culture, we act like men cannot be sexually assaulted. We act like
Yes.
men cannot be sexually abused.
Yeah.
And contrary to what folks' beliefs are, men can consent and they can choose not to consent. And men are not like sex crave sex stars, any pussy will do. Like, just like women either want to be with a man or don't want to be with a man, the same thing is true of men and boys. But somehow, because of the narrative and propaganda and blah 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 around men, people poo-poo it. But it's
Yeah.
so crazy, because when you, especially I'm thinking about Chris Brown. I'm thinking about what's my boy name? He was with Chrissy all them years. He ain't never married Chrissy. Jim
Oh,
Jones.
Jim Jones. Mm-hmm.
And many other Black men in media, literature, sports, music, have talked about their first sexual experiences, and they calling them sexual experiences, but it's abuse
Yeah.
5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, with
Yeah.
women 10 at 10 or more years older than them,
Mhm.
exactly how she depicted it. You look grown. You don't look no 13. I
Right.
wanted to vomit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But rarely are these boys protected, and often are they blamed, um when in reality they're being preyed upon just like young girls are. And so I didn't want to read it, but I appreciated her recognizing it and not making it flowery. He didn't want to be there.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
And it wasn't something that he sought out. It was something that he was trying to get away from actively,
Yes.
and he just could not, which is the
Yes.
thing that happens. And yeah, go ahead.
And even when, right, when he it's not the first time he tells Dream about it, but I want to say it might have been the second time, once they know that Keith is back or something like that. And he tries to joke about it with Dream, and he says,
Yep.
"Well, she taught me
How to turn you out or something
how
he
to
said.
turn you out."
Mm-hmm.
And Dream doesn't let him. She's like, "No, you were a baby. You should have been
Mm-hmm.
protected. It's not okay. It's not funny." And on the inside he's like, I she's making me feel like a victim. I'm not a
Yep.
victim. I don't want to
Yep.
feel like a victim. But there also needed to be acknowledgement that like he knew what happened was not okay, right?
Right.
But even her um confirming it was not okay. And then when they are, after she has seen the photos of the three women that were killed, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And
Yep.
they're in the
Yep.
car, and he says, "So does this change how you feel about me?" Now, at this point, she's already told him she loves him.
Mm-hmm.
And in his mind, she takes a little too long to answer. So he is already prepared. He's like, "Fuck that. I've never need anybody's
Mm-hmm.
love. I don't need her love." And she's like, no, like,
Right.
why would you think that my feelings would change? You know,
Mm-hmm.
but because of this, and you were the victim, like,
Right.
they hurt you, and no, my feelings don't change. So, and he did him saying he didn't realize how much he needed her to say that, right? As
Mm-hmm.
much as he was trying to go back to the cold place, um the dark place where it wouldn't have mattered to him. By that point, he's too far gone, right?
Yeah.
He's just too
Yeah.
far gone. And if she were to have said, well, hedged her language, that that would have absolutely destroyed him, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
he hasn't said it yet, but he's clearly in love with her at this point.
Right.
And she has become integral to his life by now.
Mm-hmm.
As much as he said this was just going to be 30 days and I'm going to ruin you and whatever the case may be, he didn't even expect, as much as he was taken by her in the beginning, it was clear that he didn't expect how things were evolving between them as quickly as it was happening.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're
Mm-hmm.
still within the 30 days when all of this, the official 30 days. I think we're 6 weeks at this point, but the official 30 days is still in play when all of this comes out. So
Right.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yep. 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 All right. We can get into specific scenes if you have them. So I have mine split up between the two, kinda. So for my loves, I have Demon and Dream loves and Smoke and Diana loves, but then I think the rest of them are kind of mixed up. But
Okay.
let's see how it goes. What were your loves?
Ah, because I'm trying to think of what, like, new that hasn't been touched on. I mean, we've touched on. I'm even looking at the time. So many things that I loved about this story in terms of, like, his interactions with, the little girls, right? and
Yeah.
and his relationship with Miss Hazel, and like
Mm-hmm.
seeing that Demon had a code, and watching the softening of Demon, right? Of
Mm-hmm.
Damien, watching that unfold. Seeing that his love language, early on was like acts of service, right? Because it started with money in her backpack to buy what she wanted, or to, for lunch,
Mm-hmm.
things of that nature. And then it escalated to things that became more personal, more thoughtful. I loved the family dynamic between Demon and right? Cameron,
Yeah.
and how, even though there was a lot of brusqueness to it, that there was tenderness that Cam understood to be tenderness, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And was able to receive it. And that Demon very quickly distinguished between how he felt about Melanie and his brother, right? And did
Yeah.
not like that initial shock was one thing, but then he very quickly recognized that he was not going to treat his brother um any kind of way based on how he felt about Melanie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, obviously loved Kiana coming back because it was like, well, what happened to Kiana? Like you're left
Yeah. Yeah.
wondering,
Yeah.
for a good portion of the book, you don't know what has happened to Kiana. And watching them, even that reunion scene where he initially, like, she runs over to him and she hugs him and she's sobbing, and he
Yep.
hugs her back and then he
Walks
lets her
out.
go and he
Yeah.
walks out because it's just
Can't
like,
take it.
right? It was just like the emotion overload.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of even fast forwarding, right? So sticking with Dream and Demon, when we get to the epilogue, and now we are 10 years later, and they are working on their fifth child. They've
Mm-hmm.
got 4 boys, and we find out that Dream is pregnant with the fifth, and now he is just full. Like he's still very direct, sometimes cutting, um, but just so affectionate that their children call her baby because that's what they hear their father
Mm-hmm.
call their mother, right? And you're
Mm-hmm.
just like, oh my God, look how far we've come. Um, it was just a lot of those little touches that that I've kind of talked about, of Elle giving you enough to hold on to until you get the full blown, he admits that he's in love with her and she's in love with him and they're going to be together, right? What I loved with Demon and Dream. Whereas with Smoke and Diana, it was similar, but Smoke he was not cutting, right? Like he wasn't mean, like he had a temper, but he
Yeah.
wasn't so he was very upfront with how his attraction to and caring about Diana, while also struggling with the feelings of, am I betraying my dead wife because I made this promise and so on and so forth, and don't want to feel like I'm betraying that. But I loved watching that unfold. I loved her relationship with little Genesis, right? Oh, Princess Diana, right? And Genesis immediately being enamored with Diana from the first time she sees the
Mm-hmm.
tiara right on the nightstand, and she's
Yep.
like, you've got a real princess, she's a real princess. Even Smoke's mother with Diana, right? It wasn't the typical kind of like, huh, so let me make sure you done left your wedding
Mm-hmm.
to be with my son. Oh, okay. Like, I think what we typically see in situations like that, where the mother has some reservations, right? Where it's like, I'm questioning your judgment because
Right.
you left a wedding and now something's
She
supposed
wanted
to.
them together, though.
She absolutely wanted
Yeah.
them together, and just his mother being just this wonderful voice of reason to both of them, right? To both of them
Yeah.
when they
Sometimes
needed it.
I had a love hate with her, but I understand what you're saying.
Um, and look, she was doing, candidly, we've seen this before, she was doing more mothering than Diana's own mother was doing.
Yep.
So,
Yep. 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 Yep.
I mean, she wasn't necessarily saying um put up with anything for the sake of being with my son, but she was like, give him some grace, right? And
Yeah.
then she was saying to Smoke, give yourself grace because this is not what Jenna would have wanted for you, and you're fighting it. And clearly, if you've done all of this, you went to her wedding and spirited her away. This is clearly more than just
Yeah. A
you broke her
fling.
virginity,
Yeah.
right? And don't want to let it go.
So this was the love hate I had with her. It was 98%, 95% love, 5% hate. Because I didn't, I know, y'all. I know you need it in the book. I know you need the voice of reason. But because mixed in with all the love was some very questionable behaviors, I'm always nervous about women telling other women to put up with more bullshit.
That's fair. No,
But
that's
in
fair.
this context, I
Yeah.
understood her saying it's not as if Miss Hazel was telling Dream, keep letting this nigga yoke you up.
Right.
That Smoke's mother was saying, he already likes you, girl. He just gotta
Yes.
let himself like you, like just give him a couple more days and he gonna be all right. He gonna go to the
Yeah.
funeral, he gonna go to the graveside mausoleum and get himself together. So that part I was okay. But in the grand scheme of things, I feel like we often write women, asking women to be longer and longer and longer suffering when they really should be punching these niggas in the nuts. but because she was not asking her to put up with harmful shit, she was really just like, girl, he already like you. His heart, he never planned to love nobody else, so just give him a little time to get used to the idea. That I was like, all right, girl, I might can get with you, we'll see.
Yeah. But I agree with you. I mean, it is and we've talked about this before, right? That it is a dangerous message.
It can be.
It can be a dangerous message,
Mm-hmm.
particularly at the point in time when you're reading
And
these
these are
stories.
girls, they like
Yeah,
24,
yeah.
23. Don't set her up like
21
that.
and 24. And you and I are reading this
As 40
story.
somethings, yeah.
I'm not sure that I'm going to claim that, but okay,
Well,
fine.
I am.
Teasing, teasing. Yes, we're reading it as 40 somethings that have done some living
Right,
and
right.
watched some things play out and understand now how those things can seep in and heavily influence, right? Even when people
Mm-hmm.
start talking about the Disney princesses and, the impact that has
Yeah,
on young girls, seeing that and how that seeps into how they then approach relationships, all of that stuff. That's not bullshit, right? That's not
yeah.
bullshit. There is validity to those concerns in terms of what people get exposed to at what point in time, because does that start creating in their minds this over romanticization of shit that should not be romanticized?
These autistic ass ADHD having ass niggas that need therapy and he should be worshiping the ground you walk on, that you even want to be bothered with his half baked ass. Punch him in the nuts. Anyway. so so
Now, although speaking to punching someone in the nuts, because Dream did swing on Demon
and I
several
was grateful.
times. Several times,
I
right?
said,
She
good.
definitely smacks on him,
With the
hits
bouquet in
him.
her hand.
Yeah, she with the bouquet, she slaps him
To the point where
more than
D'Angelo
once.
said, don't hit him, girl. You know what he been through. You hit that boy, gonna knock your head off.
Yeah, yeah. And he was like, I do not abide, right? You putting your hands on me, right?
Don't put your
So that,
hands on me. Like,
yeah, that was an interesting kind of,
yeah.
it's like, oh, so this is the bar. This
Right.
is
This
this
is
is
the
where we draw the
right,
line.
right.
Got it.
You can
Got
kiss
it.
my ass. How about
Yeah.
that? But anyway, so yeah, okay. So I loved, yes, Smoke's mom. I also, oh wait, we were on your loves. Go ahead.
No, no, no. I'm done for now because I can ping pong off of some more with you.
Okay. So I love the Whitney and Dwayne wedding. I love that Smoke wore white. I thought that was so in his character.
Yep.
Sir, it is not your day. And as
Yep.
far as he was concerned, yes, it is.
It turned out to be. It
It turned
turned
out
out
to
to
be
be.
his day. I loved that she recognized, and we talked about this already, that he might have gotten her out of that marriage, but he didn't offer her anything else, and she was trying to get out of him some kind of assurance, some kind of like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And they end up going on the trip, and blah blah blah, and they end up in love, even though, like you said, circle, they do the plane circles the tarmac for a little while on them,
Yeah. Yeah.
before they come down for their landing. I loved how dedicated he was to Smoke, how he was to his daughter and to his wife's
Yes.
memory. I thought that was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I loved Eve and how she and Dream rubbed up against each other until they figured that out.
Yeah.
And I
Yes.
loved, I loved how Eve would be giving Demon shit. She was not concerned about his feelings or his opinions.
Correct.
She let him
Correct.
know. And I liked that Demon, even though it was really painful and uncomfortable for him, that he did share some of his history with her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that that was some of what humanized him for her. Because he also has to be more than just a walking orgasm giver, like a walking
Yes.
orgasm
Yes.
dispenser.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so, yes, I'm a fuck you how I want every night and blah blah blah, but at the same time, during that 30 days, and even before the actual 30 days started, he becomes more than that to her. And so he
Yes.
becomes a fully formed person, as much as she does,
Yes.
which I thought was good, because sometimes the opposite is true. Like, we just write the guy as an orgasm dispenser, and that's all he is.
And he started sharing
Yep.
relatively early,
Relatively early. Yep.
which was also a pleasant surprise
Mm-hmm.
because when we meet him, you would assume he's going to hold on to his secrets for as long as possible.
Right.
And that
Right.
was not the case. He actually started sharing the bits and pieces with her sooner than I expected.
Right. Right. My hates was, of course, the waterboarding. Unacceptable. And I wanted her to, I need her to keep a blade. She gotta be better about that.
Yeah.
Um, I oh, when she assumed that he was the one to kill her father. That was
Yeah.
not nice. I didn't like it. I didn't
Uh,
like it. I didn't even like him
yeah.
agreeing with it. I wanted to be like, boy, open your mouth up. But he just
Yeah.
let her believe it, and they had to go through that go through. But I didn't, I felt she knew him well enough by then, and people were trying to tell her. She just lost it. She just flipped out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Go ahead.
No, it was just such a bad. I was like, no, 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 right? And I guess because I thought a little bit more about that scene, that whole exchange today, right? And in fairness to Dream was half crazy at that point,
Yeah,
right? Like it's just so much had
so much
happened.
had
And of course,
happened.
it's like her conflicted feelings. This was still her father, even though things
And
had
she
just
just got
gone
her sister back.
horribly, just
Yeah.
got her sister back. Things had gone horribly off the rails with her father. Damien had been talking about putting her father down their
Mm-hmm.
entire relationship at that point. Um, and to see him come in and he's wearing the blood again, and her mother is all shaken and looking, and she just like snapped, right? Because it was like she didn't even give him, she just went so below the belt.
Well, he came in covered in blood. I mean, she was trying to put two and two together,
The
but it was,
opening
yeah,
salvo was just, it just went so, and I was just like, no, no, no. And I
yeah,
wished, of course that's not how it was supposed to play out, but I wish that the mother had immediately just been like, no, Dream, I shot him.
right.
I was like, Lucia, girl, open
It
your
was
mouth. Do you
me,
see this
girl.
train wreck happen? Do you see this train
Right.
wreck unfolding? Like they saying some really vicious, awful things to
Vicious,
each other
vicious.
because you're not saying, open your mouth, girl. But of course, she was in shock after, killing her
Killing her
husband of,
husband, yeah.
you know, almost 3 decades or however long it was. And the fact that it had come to that. So it was like the whole family's just shell shocked, right? And of course, he just reacted the way that he reacts when, especially when he feels like he's being attacked. What we saw more often than not was him attacking first,
Yeah,
but in this instance he just quickly switched back into vicious mode because she was attacking him and he was hurt by that. And you're just like, no,
yeah.
no, no.
This is bad, y'all. Come on.
Yeah,
Yeah, there
yeah.
was that. Those were my hates. I don't think I had. I mean, obviously, what happened to Diana or Diana? I don't know how to say it. Y'all know what I'm talking about. The other sister. That got dark. That
It
that
got
took a
so dark.
turn. It's
Yeah,
like,
it got
Jesus Christ.
so dark. Yeah,
It
yeah,
was bad.
yeah.
The I don't have any more hates. I think we went through a lot of it. What surprised you?
Um, I mean, I think we've touched on quite a bit of the surprises that that Damien was an artist. Um, that he did not, and I think this just goes back to how Elle was softening him from the very beginning when he asked Eve, for example, like, what do you do? What should I do if she's
Mm-hmm.
mad at me? And how do I,
Yep.
get back in her good grace? Of course, his execution of that was not great because it was like him showing up to the wedding with Eve, but having not explained who Eve
Right.
was. So it just
Right.
got worse. Um, I was surprised when he called the escort because I was just like,
That's what I'm
brother,
about to say. Thank you.
I was
Keep
like,
going.
brother, like this, you've started moving more intelligently. You started
Right.
like being smart about what you do and what you say. This is very, very dumb. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you doing this? Why?
Mm-hmm.
You know, um, and how that kind of blew up in his face. The fact that he would do things like he let her, quote unquote, when she was like, well, we need to talk and I want to talk over dinner. And he
Mhm.
was like, fine, well, meet me at such and such. As opposed to just being like, no, you come to my house and we can talk over dinner there, right?
Right.
That he had these moments where he was submitting to her to a certain extent. I'm putting submitting in air quotes, right? But he was like giving in to her right away on things that were credible because it didn't you didn't even in those moments it's not like you were like, oh, demon has turned into a marshmallow. You definitely weren't getting that,
Mhm.
but they were happening often enough where you were like, oh, isn't that cute? Oh, isn't that
Right.
adorable?
Yeah.
But the situation with the escort was just like head scratching and mind boggling. I was surprised that he let her put the apron on him, right? The kitchen diva. Right? It
Yeah.
was little
Yeah.
things like that where I was like, he don't let her. The grandfather's like, boy, you let this girl make you look ridiculous. Take that off and come talk to me. Yeah, but he just kind of went with it, right? And he's helping her in the kitchen, prepare for Sunday brunch. And so it was like um those things where she was constantly giving us these touches that sat right alongside. We never forgot the demon was a savage.
Yeah.
You never forgot or questioned, his savagery. Because then 2 pages later, he's snapping somebody's neck in the club
Right.
for
For
calling
nothing
out her
hardly.
name.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm just trying to think. The Jordan stuff surprised me because of how dark it got, which we've talked about. I wasn't expecting it to go there. You know what else surprised me? Now, fast forwarding to the pregnancy, what surprised me was Diana betraying Dream
Yeah.
and telling him.
Mhm.
That was one of those. I was like, huh,
Mhm.
girl,
You fucking up.
no, 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 we're not supposed to be doing that. We're not
Mm-mm.
supposed to be doing that. Like, I understand vehemently disagreeing with your sister's decision, but you gonna tell him?
Right.
Really?
Right.
Huh.
Yeah, I couldn't. So a couple things. Hold on just a second. Let me write these things down so we can come back to them. Okay. So there were a couple. I was talking to a friend. So at the same time that I was sending you voice notes and walls of text, I was doing the same thing with someone else who had read the book. And what she and I got into was some of the times where he would say one thing and then do another, or he would do one thing and then think another. What we were trying to sort out is like, because now when you write 100 and when you write 750 pages, it is by sheer miracle that you hold on to the thread.
Mm,
And so what we couldn't figure out was, is he being inconsistent, or is there so much going on that it's hard to remember what you previously wrote? And so initially I was like, I feel like he's just being inconsistent, in like internally inconsistent, like
mm-hmm.
most humans are. We are
Mm-hmm.
rarely exactly aligned, what we think and what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Not rarely, but there are times when what we think and what we do not line up. And if you draw our attention to it, we're gonna call you a liar, because the dissonance doesn't live inside of us. Like, it's
Right,
easy for
right.
someone else to recognize when we're being inconsistent or a hypocrite, easier for someone else to see it from the outside than it is for us to see it from the inside. And I really was on the fence in the conversation with her. Like, I kept defending, like, no, people are just genuinely inconsistent. Like, this happens or whatever. But I do feel like Demon's character, like, took some winding roads. Like, so there were times when he didn't care about anybody, and I'm a motherfucking monster. And then there were times where he was like a social worker, pulling the little girls out the back seat.
It's-
And so it was like, well, what we doing, demon?
yeah.
But to your point, like, I think in some of those moments, it represented the soft spot that he has for the vulnerable.
Yes. Yes.
And like his inconsistency with Dream in some points was more about his, to me, his complicated relationship with women.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh
when
yeah.
you grow up and your primary abusers are women, and then
Yeah.
somebody tell you turn around and love one,
Yes. Yes.
other than
Yes.
Eve and Miss Hazel and Kiki, what we supposed to do?
Right.
And it's
And
only because Kiki was his sister and even Miss Hazel was his surrogate family.
exactly. They were not, there was not there was never any romantic or sexual
Yeah.
dynamic to any of those relationships. Yeah.
And men typically, and I not let me be careful for y'all. Send me emails. Some men, not all men, some men are socialized to love or protect through ownership.
Mhm.
And so it's my sister, my cousin, my mother, my
Mhm.
grandma.
Mhm.
If it's your sister or your cousin or your mama or your grandma, that's your business. I treat her however I want to treat her. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna love on mine, the ones that I'm connected to, the ones that I
Yeah.
feel responsible for, and then all the other ones, I hope y'all protecting them.
Yes.
And so, and while that's not true for everybody, that is true for somebody's.
Yeah.
And so for him, I think it was compounded by the fact that his primary caregiver was a woman and did him the dirtiest that you could ever do anybody.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so Dream comes along and is presented to him as a pawn. She's presented to
Yep.
him as a toy, a
Yep.
plaything.
Yep.
And he just so happens to fall in love with it.
Mhm.
And has to begin to see her as more than what she came to him as, and
Yeah.
reconcile all of that on the inside. And so I did, like, the author in me was like, how we gonna smooth this out? But the reader in me was like, no, I got it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I understand. Like, we all have complicated feelings about, if I had the history with men that he has with women, I can't say. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? How it
Right.
would turn out. So we'll see,
And you figure he's now approaching 30
Right.
and has
And
been
that's
able
old.
to,
Yeah.
yeah, has been able to navigate life to this point. Like once he connected with his father and his brother, whatever that relationship was with his father, because at this point his father's dead. But and his interactions with women, the sexual dynamic was purely transactional,
Mm-hmm.
purely, and
To the
that's how
point
he
that
kept it.
they doggy style only. I don't want to look at your face.
Right, and where the madam is jealous, which was hilarious, right? Because it was
Hilarious.
like, girl, hold on, knock it
Right.
off, right? Because
Relax.
she's like, wait a
Relax.
minute, why am I seeing him out on a date? Like
Her little feelings was
he
hurt.
don't he don't do dates,
Nope.
and if he was gonna do a date, then it should have been with one of us with like
Right.
sunshine pussy. Like I just, she was like perplexed and
She was hurt.
verklempt. Yeah, she was hurt. She was hurt, and she almost got herself killed because he was like, "Girl, I don't. I usually don't even do second warnings. I definitely don't do thirds.
Right. So
You
look,
gonna mess around and get yourself killed
you
out
go
here."
get hurt. Get to go get hurt. So right after I finished this, I went back to Black because I live at Fort Independence at all times. And you know where my mind went?
Mm,
Camille.
yeah.
And to when Camille comes back and warns them about trouble that's coming, and she
Hmm.
has the little boy with her, and Curtis, and she sees a very pregnant Sunday with some rings on her
Yeah.
finger, and she is like, God damn.
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't supposed to want this. And if
Right.
he wanted it,
Right.
he was supposed to try to get it from me. But
Yes.
now he
Yes.
didn't found somebody that's half my age and getting it from her. And similarly, in this instance, Julia of Julia's Gems, I think it's called.
Juliet.
Um, if you're gonna do this, do it with me.
Right. Right.
And so the fact that you are out here on a date with somebody that she finds out in the bathroom that you ain't even fucked her yet.
Right.
And you
Right.
being seen in public, you got a whole shirt on, buttoned up to the top. Boy, what the fuck is wrong with you? Who are you?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And not just who are you, but who is she?
Yes.
So that was a lot. I felt for Julia. I wanted her to calm down, but I felt for her.
Well, when he in the club, because the club is part two, and
Yeah.
she's like, "Oh, you out here, kissing and and fucking missionary," and he was like raw at that.
Yeah.
Like, don't play with me. Don't play with me.
I'm telling you,
like,
these women need switchblades. They need blades.
he said, I'm not just quick with my hands. I'm quick with words too. I will
quick
cut
with my
you with my
words
words.
too. These women did not carry. They were not strapped up like they needed to be.
No,
is what I will say.
No.
At all. But I got it, and so to your point about the sex worker too. I was surprised that he called. I was surprised that they got as far as they did. Even though he couldn't stay up His pants certainly came down. He was trying,
Yes.
and
Yes.
it didn't work. And I wanted, you're just a big dummy, just
Yeah.
boy.
Yeah.
Like, and she
Yeah.
come back and she see it and she try her hardest, and it's a mess. But this comes up often in these books, and I always am wanting I always want the guy to, you ought to know that this ain't, you know what I mean? I want the
Yeah.
guy to be smarter,
Yeah.
and they rarely are.
It's the right. I mean, it's like you, even as he is thinking to himself, it's the nightmares have come back because
Mhm.
Melanie and Cameron show up,
Mhm.
and it's the discontent's not the right word, but the discomfort, right? The unease
Yeah,
that he
yeah,
has
yeah,
been
yeah.
feeling about how he feels about Dream, right?
Right.
And so it's that trying to get a rein on how he's been feeling about her. And it's not in this scene, but there's
He tried to
another
turn back the
instance.
clock.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. There's another instance where he says he's thinking to himself, it's when she holds out, when that
Yep.
week when she refuses, and he's like, we need to just go back to fucking because this is just. And
Mhm.
even for her, she kind of says the same thing to herself. She's like, we need to go back to just fucking because now
Mhm.
we've been spending time together
Yep.
outside of sex.
Yep.
To going back to your point about he needed to be more than just the walking orgasm, and Elle gives us that, right? Because
Mhm.
we are seeing Dream is not just turned out and wanting to heal,
Right.
right? He is witty, he is
Yep.
funny, he's charming when he
Yep.
wants to be, he is very thoughtful and
Giving. Mhm.
giving and considerate and all of those things.
Gentle.
So she's not just attracted to, I was mindful of one of your critiques when you get frustrated with the women readers and you're like, it seems like all man, if the man has a big dick and money,
You
he was
can't do
not
no
whispering
wrong, child.
Jesus, right? But after Jesus part, it's even worse. But like big dick and money, and we forgive all sins, right? And it's like that's all that there is to the man,
Mhm.
such that we should all be falling all over ourselves, right? And what we got here was someone that had definitely had some shit with him, but you also, objectively speaking, understood why this woman was being drawn to him even against
Absolutely.
her will,
Absolutely.
because he was absolutely giving her things to be
Yes.
to fall in love with.
You're absolutely right. More than most,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
your point.
Yeah.
Like, he gave her more than Ezra gave Lex. He gave her more than, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
he even, what's the book we read? He was to me, I haven't put this episode out yet, but the the
Blue
twins,
or gray?
them, he
Yeah.
was giving that. He was Gray.
Yes.
That's the
You're
first
right.
one.
You're
He
right.
was given, it was sometimes like you were saying before, like there were some gaps.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for the most part, once he felt it, he showed it.
Yes.
And he
Yes.
never, there were moments now, like we talked about, but I I think that's why I didn't just write the whole book off, is because there were so many moments where he was outwardly expressive to her,
Yeah.
either in word or deed, about how he felt.
Yeah.
And when he snapped, it was a snap. It
It was
wasn't
definitely
that,
a snap.
yeah, it wasn't that there was that low-lying animosity towards her,
Right.
or an inherent hatred or desire to hurt her. It was like you hit the trigger, you hit the button, and now we off and running. But I would agree with you that he definitely was more than an orgasm dispenser in to her. He treated her. It's not like the who wrote this book, Elle Kayson. It's not like she just gave us the gift of his thoughts.
Right.
Dream got to feel it.
Yes.
She got to feel his tenderness in between. Man, shut up, Dream. You shut up.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But even outside of that, come on, let's eat. You need to have some breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
let
I
me,
made your coffee how you
I
like it.
made your coffee with, 5 cups of milk and 10 cups of sugar. I don't know why you drinking this bullshit, but here,
Yes.
those things were there.
Yes.
And he became fully formed on the page, and he became fully formed to her.
Yeah.
So much so, like you're saying, that they both acted dumb about it, but finally they got on track by the end of the book. It's fine. Amen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, um,
Any other surprises for you?
No other surprises, but the reason that I brought up Camille is because of this. I do feel like now, as far as I can see, I'm new. I ain't so new, but I'm not engaged. But the urban girls take off. Urban
Mm.
is far more popular than romance.
Mhm.
Urban girls been in the thousands in their reviews for years. That's recent to
Mm.
indie black romance. But people sometimes feel a way about urban, and they don't give it the credit that it's due. And I say this to say people sometimes pretend that the things that are in urban aren't in everybody's life,
Right.
and that they can be downplayed and poo-pooed just because it's set in Black people lives in densely populated areas.
Mhm.
But as much as we will uplift the Black series, he did the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
And so I just say that to say that I feel like we can, and I don't know that it's the readers that we know, but I have seen in other corners of the internet, oh, I don't read urban, I don't do that, I don't, and it's like, but this being human is being human.
Yep.
And the same experiences that you read about in your very clean middle class, you know, went to college romance, whatever, is the same thing that's going to happen in the Black series and in the urban series. And so I wanted to just put that out there because I feel like she gave us a really broad world
Yeah.
of people from all walks and all experiences.
Yeah.
And some of the most educated people in the story made the dumbest decisions.
Yeah.
Some of the
Yeah.
least educated people made the best decisions.
Mhm.
And it really, for me, like, is an example of, even though like there are some things to look at, but I don't feel like that's unique to urban. I see that in all kinds of romance.
Yeah.
But I feel like she did give us a lot of different things to look at and experience and latch onto and like and love and hate, which is what you're supposed to do in a good book. And I don't think it's better or worse because of the subgenre.
Yeah. Speaking of, that urban gets into the thousands, this is over 4,000
Oh, baby, the urban
reviews.
girls don't play.
Yeah.
They do not play. You
Yeah.
know, it's playing in the indie Black romance, the middle class romance. But the urban girls don't play. Once they with you, they with you. They gonna write a book a month. The reader's gonna read every one of them, and they're gonna review 4, 5 times if they can. Yeah.
Mm.
It's
Mm.
it's a different community. And it's not as, they don't look down their nose as much as sometimes you might find in other subgenres of Black romance. But here again, this is just HP talking.
Well,
This
no,
is not
I really appreciate the point because, um, particularly your point on people behaving as if some of the things that present in the urban stories are not present in their own lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so start talking about dysfunctional family
Hell
members,
yeah.
history of abuse,
Yep.
drugs or whatever, mental health, right? It doesn't all have to be, if you didn't grow up in the projects, then
Right.
urban is not for you, right?
Right.
That's like that unfortunate kind of like stereotyping,
Yep.
broad brushing that
Yep.
we tend to do to each other,
Yep.
not just that white people do to us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's giving a chance because I wasn't always, when I was younger, like I definitely read the Sister Soldier,
Mm-hmm.
right, and all of that stuff. And then I think just as I got older, moved into different things, and it just didn't call to me in the same way. I wasn't following the authors to know like who had the new hot, whatever the
Right.
case may be. And I will
It
say, I
was
just,
harder than too, child.
well,
You
right,
had to
it
go
was like,
looking for it.
that's exactly right. And I will say that I really do appreciate and I know that I've shouted them out before, but like the books like Bourbon Street
Mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm,
Hopeful Heartbreakers, because it is a diverse group of readers, and you, as a result, when people are recommending certain stories, it may be it's different from your usual
mm-hmm,
lane, right? And
mm-hmm.
depending on your mood, maybe you're into it, maybe you're not, but it's just giving yourself the opportunity to expose, because this was a great, I'm so glad that I wasn't put off, and I was like, all right, let's see what this story is about, because
Mm-hmm.
everybody, they're acknowledging that it's 750 pages, but people are raving about it. Let me
Yeah.
see. And sometimes, like in this situation, people were spot on. In terms of how I felt about the book,
Mm-hmm.
I aligned with how other people felt about it. And other times, there's stories that people absolutely love that I'm like, and that's okay too, right? That's okay too. Because it's not a one size fits all. But I will say, I'm just so glad that I gave this story a chance,
Me
and then
too.
went into Elle Kayson's catalog, which I have thoroughly enjoyed. I think I've read most of her stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and just really like how she weaves that, the romance and the love of it with the craziness, where you're like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
now, all right, okay, this is because she's
She
got
keeps you
another
hooked though.
character that is demon-esque,
Okay.
in his own way, where you're like,
Do he be nice? He got to be nice. When is he
he so
nice?
he definitely is nice towards the woman that he falls in love with,
Okay,
and he
that's
is,
all I need.
nice and loving to his family and whatnot, but he is the certified, like the
Okay.
certified serial killer of their family,
Oh my.
and like, has a whole process, and everybody know this is just how Trey gets down, and it is what it is. And he
No,
likes to he
Trey, go
likes to
to
tell
therapy, Trey.
he likes to tell stories before he kills people, and the whole family's like, where is this going exactly? But anyway, um so
Somebody
she
put
has,
Trey in therapy. Give him my number.
yeah, that is, I
I
think,
take Edna.
one of her talents, I think, of like writing these characters, you're like, ooh, you definitely touched, you are definitely touched, but I
But that's why I'm
like
gonna leave
you.
her alone. I've said many many times in this very podcast, I'm going to close up my thoughts in a piece of paper. I ain't finna talk to this lady. Something happening on the inside of her. I ain't finna talk to her.
Type her name, not even handwrite it, so that
Handwriter,
she
she gonna
can't
know it's me.
trace
Oh, absolutely not. Oh
trace
no,
the
I'm gonna print it out at
handwriting.
the library. She ain't gonna know it's me.
Print it out
Mm-mm.
at the library.
With
Hilarious.
gloves on.
Hilarious.
Y'all, you know that's how they
Hilarious.
got the B2K killer. BTK. He had a floppy disk, a disk drive that
This is coming back to me.
he had formatted to, and it had his name on it. And he used it at the church. And so
This
one
is
letter that
coming
he
back
wrote to
to
the
me.
police, they got the metadata and saw that it was him. That's how they caught him. And then
I
they got
f-
his daughter had got a pap smear at her college, and they got those cells and they compared the DNA to some DNA he had left at the scene. And that's why I'm gonna print it out at the library with gloves on.
Now that piece, I don't think I ever knew
Yes, they
that.
did. That's how they got the BTK killer, because they had the DNA and they was like, we think it's this dude. And they started looking at his kids and they was like, it's a 99.9% of the chance that this whoever did it is her daddy. And they got that man. He was driving home. Somewhere he was driving and they pulled him over, and that was that. Yep.
Wow.
And so
This is the
that's why.
second time, because the last episode I did go down that rabbit hole with the police officer who,
Yes,
you know,
child.
framed and planned his whole,
Planned his
I was
own
like, I need more
suicide.
information, and all of that, and how they had to like take down the statue or to scratch his name off
Yes, they
of the
did.
statue, and
And
all
they
of that
blamed it
other
on
stuff.
black people, didn't he? They always do.
Yeah,
Anyway.
yeah. What I didn't quite understand, though, since we're on this tangent, the woman who initially claimed, who was initially the co-signer of his story, who wasn't his wife,
Yes,
didn't quite see in whatever it was that I read, like where he got her from. Was she a mistress? Was she
she was. Yeah.
okay? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, then that makes
Hmm.
sense. Mm.
Child, these people behaving badly.
Yeah, yeah.
For sure. One more thing that surprised me before we move on to
Good.
Stabbed is that Smoke's resources. I was not prepared for him to have the infrared.
Oh
The,
yes,
I
yes.
was not prepared for the drones and whatever else he had going on. I said, what they say this boy did for a living? I had to flip back.
Yeah, well, that, and also, right, his father making the reappearance, and his father coming with the
Yes,
flash
with the
grenades, and
flashbangs and stuff.
yeah, it
I said,
was.
well, and what's the man that's real popular right now? Everybody like this man. He was on Game of Thrones. That's where I know him from. But he was on The Last of Us. I'm finna tell you what his name is.
Oh, I'm blanking on his name, but he also voices
Pedro
the Mandalorian.
Pascal.
Yes, Pedro Pascal also voices. He's the Mandalorian.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he came back like Pedro, honey. If you could say he was Pedro, or you could say he was my man from Breaking Bad, but he was also in School Days.
Oh, Giancarlo
Giancarlo
Esposito.
Esposito.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know if he dark alike, but whatever he is, he Latin and black mixed together, something, I don't know. Child, he came through with the resources. I said, this is Mr. and Mrs. Smith. This is Fast and Furious. Because
Yes.
between the Asian person on the computer telling you everything you want to know, to the gun cabinet, to the flashbangs and grenades, to the heat seeking, I said, what?
But
Where did Smoke get all this stuff from?
I did. You know what I liked about that, I think, to your point, is because up to this point, we're being told that Dante's the man.
Mm-hmm.
We're being told that Smoke is the man in his own lane, right? Where in terms of the hierarchy, you get the sense that, like, put Demon in a different category, because Demon doesn't really dabble in the, like, he killed people when whatever.
When
But
Dante
like, he's
asked him
not
to. Dante
exactly,
give him
but
a name
he's
and he
not.
does.
Yeah, he's not actively running the empire. He didn't want anything to do with it.
Right.
The Castle family is respected, but because the father had stepped, he's in guns, and because the father had stepped back, and now he's trying to reclaim his prior glory. The grandfather has a great deal of respect, but he's an OG and he's retired. Fine. Right. And then people like Jordan's family, they also appear to be like on the same footing as like the Castle family, right? But you definitely got the impression that if Dante was like at the top of the food chain, that Smoke was close, but in like an independent lane.
Okay.
And so if that's the case, what I appreciated about that was that, to your point on the resources, his resources lined up with who we were supposed to believe Smoke was in terms of influence, money, power, right? Because they booked a trip to go to the Maldives in a week on a private jet, right? And so it's like, as much as it was like, oh, dear goodness, like, where's all this coming from?
Yeah.
As I think about it, it made sense that Smoke would have had extraordinary resources and would have employed them for the sake of getting Diana back, because we were being told he was a boss.
And he wasn't playing no games. He was going to get that girl back.
Exactly.
For real.
And then what that even though it was graphic, the torture scene of Jordan was
awful,
delicious, because it was
for what happened to Jordan. Yeah, I was glad.
Yes,
yeah, it was still
it was very, it was hard. It was like, okay, yeah, I wanted her to get her justice, and she got it.
She sure did. She came with a bat with barbed wire on it. I said, all right, Negan.
Like, yeah.
She was giving Negan from The Walking Dead. I said, okay,
yeah,
I'll take it.
So she got her justice.
She did. I think we've gotten into Stab. Demon had his moments. Smoke had his moments. Their father, of course, Jordan. I won't say that Julia. I don't know if she needed to be stabbed. I think her feelings was hurt. She was trying to be mean. Do you have anybody else?
The people who I would have, because I was just thinking through, you've already, named the folks, and then the folks who I felt should have gotten, like, they got what they deserve, right? So I'm thinking Isaac, I'm thinking Paul, I'm thinking Keith,
Paul.
Right? Paul needed to be tortured, though, as did Keith. I needed Keith and Paul both to have been tortured. And even how that played out, right? That was another little twist, right? In terms of the connection between Keith's daughter and Cameron. Right. They end up being childhood sweethearts, which at the end of the book, then we see that they're engaged, and it's like, whoa.
Interesting there.
Right. So really look forward to seeing, whenever since those weren't breadcrumbs, right? That was like a whole loaf of bread dropped in the epilogue.
Come back to that. Yeah.
Right. Where it's like, oh, okay, how did we get here? And how did no one know that Cameron and Kayla were dating? And
how the family's gonna mix, because she's from somewhere else.
although I mean, Kayla even having the presence of mind at what, 12,
Right.
13, to be like, my father doesn't care about me and he was
Mm-hmm.
willing to trade my life. Do what you have to do. And it was just like,
Right.
wow.
Okay, girl.
Yeah. Right. So it just, yeah, I can't think of anyone else. I didn't think, I think going back to what you said, Sherilyn's cousin, I don't know that he needed his neck snap, but Demon
Oh.
did give him the opportunity to walk away and he didn't take it. So it was one of those like, oh man.
That's one thing that I thought was interesting, because sometimes people was like demon and they was shaking in their boots, and then other times they was playing with them, and it was like, well, I don't know, what is the narrative here? How come some of y'all scared and some of y'all ain't? Because I'm
What?
scared and I ain't in the book.
Well, yeah, and I kind of felt like that was one of those things where he probably, it was clear he placed too much stock in the fact that he was related
Yeah, to
to his
Sherilyn. Yeah,
sister-in-law,
yeah,
and that Demon wouldn't, that
wouldn't
he would
do
take
it.
it as a joke,
Yeah,
right? And then also, like, if the word is out that he's got this reputation, he's never been around women, if the word is out that they're somehow messing around with each other, but you know that Demon doesn't take women seriously,
right. Then you
why
think
would
it's
you
nothing.
think,
Yeah,
right, that you have stumbled on to that this is his great love and he just
yeah,
didn't know it, right? Like,
yeah.
based on the data that people had in front of them, it's kind of like, I mean, would he really care? But I think with that guy, he just really placed too much stock in, he was in
His
the
safety.
section with his family, because Demon says, go find something safe to do it. He just didn't listen. Whereas the other
Hmm.
dudes who weren't in the circle, like, they were like, Dream Girl, you fine, and but for,
Hmm.
but we're not doing this. But think
Hmm.
about the guy at the party who's like, initially
I was just about to say that.
he
Yep.
talks back to Demon, but he came from his own family. They were in a certain setting.
Hmm.
So I think in that instance, he was like, well, number one, I'm not going to let Demon punk me. But number two, we're at his brother's house. It's not like he's going to pull out a gun right now. And he
Right.
didn't, right? He just knocked him the fuck out or whatever he did,
Hmm.
like punched him in the face and, broke his jaw or whatever he did. Like, Dream, come on, let's go. So,
He was
I mean,
always hollering a name. Why you
well,
talking to
yeah.
me like that?
And then going back to what you were reading, you were like, they keep killing people and stabbing people, and Smoke at the
Every time.
restaurant, right, at the restaurant where he stabs the guy in the hand and he's
I
steady
want to
having the
say to the
conversation.
girls, stop going outside. Stay in the house. You know, if you walk down the street, they gonna kill the person that tell you good morning. Stay inside. Why don't you
it
make a virtual
was
appointment? Stop leaving out your house.
it was and in that respect, I thought this was Diana also showing her immaturity, right? Because it was like,
She
at
liked it, some of
21,
it.
she absolutely did. Because even think about the incident in the club where it was the guy that she had what, messed around with him in high school or
Mm-hmm.
something,
Mm-hmm.
and she knows the Smoke is there, but she's dancing all up on this guy, and then wants to, like,
I'm
what's the
single.
problem?
Something
Yeah,
she
to
said.
Smoke. And Smoke is like, yeah, Ammo's got your shit. Let's get in the car and go. Okay. That might be when he actually spanks her.
I think
That
so.
might be the incident where he actually spanks her, which, depending on how you feel about those things, you're kind of like, she started
All
getting
right.
hot. So,
So it was very King and Band, because between King and Tristan showing up every time somebody tried to get on a date, they were showing up.
yes, yes,
And knocking the dude out and throwing the woman in the car and going home.
yes, yes, yes.
Who was your favorite character or character you most identify with?
I wouldn't say I most identify with any of the characters, but Demon was ultimately my favorite, right? Demon and
Okay.
Cameron
I was gonna say
was
Cameron.
then
Yeah.
a close second, right? The way that he could very quickly switch, you give Dream the puppy dog eyes, but
Hmm.
like FaceTime Demon, and he answers the call and his middle finger is sticking up,
Right.
and with the first time in the car, and Demon's like, he's like, nigga, you put that little performance on for Dream, but you Melanie sponsor. I know your ass is bad. And like, Cameron turns to him, and initially he's got the sad face, and then he snarls. He's like, "Fuck you, nigga. Who are you? What you gonna kill a couple of niggas? Not supposed to be scared of you? Like, fuck you." I just loved how that dynamic ended up playing out. But I think it's just because Demon, right, you're just watching his journey,
Yeah.
right? I think that's why he was my favorite, where I was like, you really are a demon. Then I was like,
He
well, maybe
definitely had
not
an
a
arc.
demon. I was like,
Yeah.
maybe you're more just damaged. But okay, all right, okay, all right, all
He
right.
definitely had a steep arc.
Yeah.
Cam was my favorite because my little brother is like that. So my little brother
Mm,
is 20, he just turned 21. Um, and he got hazel eyes and he light skinned and he got locks and the girl, he in school in Miami. And when I tell you they love,
mm,
oh, he's every mother's dream. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Let me pull your chair out. Let me open your car door. But baby, when them parents turn their back,
yeah.
my brother is gonna get what he get ready to get out of these girls, and I'll be like, Jesus, shoes, cell phones, watches, plane tickets. So my brother is Cam, so I loved Cam for that reason, and I'm constantly saying to my brother, please be careful, please be careful, please be careful. And I feel
Mm,
like Cam is gonna be a heartbreaker, whether he
yeah.
intends to be or not. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and look, that's why I'm super interested in his story, right? Because you're just thinking about, yes, it's fiction, but you're thinking about it's been 10 years
right,
since all of that happened.
right,
And yet Kayla,
she's
it
still
was
hanging
it was a
around.
it was adorable watching it when they were little kids, and now
Mm-hmm.
you're seeing them, he's graduating from college and she's with him,
Right,
and he's like, this is my fiance.
right, right.
um
And so what happened there? Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So there's that. What were we about to say?
I was going to say the grandfather also,
Oh
he
yeah,
was like a smooth
he
operator,
was. He was.
right?
Even in the wheelchair.
Even in the wheelchair, grandpapa was like, listen, Nichols, let me tell you, let me tell you, let me tell you. Um, which was hilarious to watch. And you just, you wonder how things might have played out differently if certain things had been on his radar sooner,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
So
Yeah. What did you have any favorite or least favorite moments? We got into some of them, but are there any that we haven't? I have two, but are there any that y'all have that we haven't talked about?
yeah, I mean, I loved the fishing scene.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah.
and the birthday scene, right? Just because the birthday dinner, right, really spoke to him thinking about what would make
Mm-hmm.
this woman happy, what would this woman like
Right.
and enjoy for her birthday, and then calling in his reinforcements to be there for her, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to deliver. I loved that when Diana's like, well, I've decided you're my bestie, right? She comes in the kitchen, she hugs him from the back. And first
Yeah,
of all,
he
we know
like to
how he feels about people touching him,
right.
but he allows it to happen. And he's like, I don't do that. And she's like, what? You don't do what? He's like, I
I
don't have
do.
friends. And she's like, well, I have friends, so whatever. And it is what it is. And from that point on, he like embraces his
Mm-hmm.
title of her bestie.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just those, again, like we talked about, those flashes, but it wasn't just with him in Dream, right? There were flashes with these other people. I liked his relationship with Smoke,
Mm-hmm.
right, from the very beginning when he goes to Smoke's
Mm-hmm.
bar, and he's kind of like, I forget how he poses it to him, but Smoke is like, huh, so you feeling it, huh? Right? Because he didn't even have that kind of relationship with his own brother, right? And
Mm-mm.
yet, whatever he developed with Smoke, it came very organically. And then obviously, it accelerated by the fact that they were dating two
Sisters.
sisters. When they're going back to the kitchen scene after they like joke with each other, he's like, a kitchen diva, and he's like, well, you're the one kidnapping women from weddings, so you really can't talk. And he's like, touche, touche. But like then they step back and they watch the two sisters reunite, and Smoke is like, they sure do call each other bitch and tell each other to shut up a
Mm-hmm.
lot, don't they? He's like, I don't want to get into it. I don't want to get yelled at. We're just gonna continue to observe. So
Just
it's
gonna
just,
chop these potatoes.
yeah, it was nice watching these two men, the friendship develop, but also watching them um share a certain amount of vulnerability about how they felt about their women with each other, because your
Yeah.
sense was they weren't sharing it with anyone else, right? And
Right.
so the smoke says, well, I need some, they're torturing the guy who I guess gave Keith the van when he
Yep.
pulls up on Dream, and so they're in the middle of whipping his ass, and Smoke is like, I'm gonna need to pick your brain about good birthday gifts for
Yes.
Diana. And he's like, well, you're not gonna outdo me. So meanwhile, this man is bleeding from like several places on his body as they're having this conversation
Hmm.
about topping each other for birthday celebrations.
For the
Um,
women that they love.
for the women that they love, right? That neither one of them has admitted that
Right.
to themselves or to each other that they love, or to the women that they love them.
Hmm.
But it is clear to both of them how they feel,
Right.
and how the other one feels about the sister in question.
Yep.
And I just like that. I like that that we got to see Demon and Smoke, right? Having tender moments with people other than just the women,
Yep. 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 Yep.
right?
Hmm.
Which I think, even though we saw Demon was even more fully formed, I thought we got enough for Smoke where we felt like he also was not just a walking orgasm,
Right.
you
Right.
know. um so yeah, those are some other things that some other moments and interactions that I really liked.
Yeah, for me it was when Dream, one of the ones you mentioned, of course, and then also the one where I think they're talking about what's your favorite this or what's your favorite that, and he knows all her favorites
Yes.
down to the
Yeah.
letter. And what was so frustrating to me about Dream in that moment, because she does not get away without getting on my nerves, is even now he done passed the whole Cosmo quiz on you. He can tell you everything about yourself from the top to the bottom. And then she gonna turn around and tell him, I don't know how he feel about me. Girl, gone.
A lot had happened though.
Girl, please go somewhere. This
I
boy literally could tell you what you got on your second grade report card. And you
I
talk about, I
I,
don't know.
I definitely agree with that. I just think, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Although he had, the vicious moments, and of
They
course,
were there.
you're talking about the therapy session. You're talking about
Yeah,
in the therapy session, right?
yeah.
Um, yeah, that's fair. That's
But
fair.
so yeah, she had moments too, but to your point, they weren't, it wasn't, I couldn't say to her, I couldn't fully say, after all this time you still confused, because there were still moments, but at the same time it was also clear that he was struggling through it,
Yeah, yeah,
and not that it wasn't there at all.
yeah. Because
But
even with the baby, right? Think
yep,
about like how he approaches her
true.
on the baby, and he's like, well, if you don't want it, I'll just give birth
Give it
to
to
it and
me.
I'll raise it.
Mhm.
And then she's like, well, I never wanted to have a baby out of love. Well, we can get married for the
Yeah.
sake of raising this child. And by
Mhm.
this point, the relationship has been damaged. So
Yep.
it's like, she was not receiving it understandably, she wasn't receiving it in the first instance of, well, we can be married and be happily ever after, because that's not exactly what he was saying, even though that was
Right.
definitely the undercurrent, right?
Mhm.
He was saying on the surface of, well, if you want to be married
We can
for
do
the
that.
sake of having this child,
Mhm.
we can check that box for the
Mhm.
sake of having this child. Whereas she was saying, no, I want to be in love. I want to be
Yeah.
married to a man that I love, and to be having a child with a man that I love and who loves me. And he was kind of like, yeah, I can protect you. I can
Right.
still treat you
Bye-bye.
right. I can give you some of those things, and you might still have to deal with my mouth getting vicious sometimes, but you and the
Mhm.
child will be protected and well taken care of. Just have the baby.
Yeah.
Give it to me.
I was surprised that she even still believed in love. So I don't think that love is a real thing. This is HP talking. I think love is when people say, let me say it this way. I'm gonna try to hurry and be fast because it's late. Depending on who you're talking to, when you say I love you, you mean something different. And so I don't
Fair.
have children, but I know when people look at their children, when they say I love you, what they mean, they don't even really, especially when the baby is 2 days old. You don't know that child. That child grew up to be Jeffrey Dahmer. What you mean is, I want to take care of you. I feel an affinity for you. I feel a drive and a desire to protect you. But love is the catch-all for that. When you look at your romantic partner and you say, I love you, what you mean is, I like the way you make me feel. I like that you're consistent. I like that, we are able to communicate. Like, you mean a variety of things. And so when
Mhm.
I hear the word love, I think of the word snack. A snack could be some cookies, some chips, it could be nuts, it could be popcorn, it could be a fruit tray, it could be, but it's all a snack, even though there is no singular definition for the word snack. Okay.
Mhm.
The flip side of that is, I think love is a dangerous word to use, because once you start using the word, people stop being specific about the things that that word is supposed to mean.
That's fair.
And so
That's
once
fair.
I say I love you, I stop thinking through the checklist of, is this person kind? Is
Mhm.
this person
Mhm.
consistent? Is this person, because I done already just used the blanket word, even if you stop doing the things under the word.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's fair.
So I was surprised. So this is me. Y'all know I'm weird. Don't worry about it. But this is just me, like, thinking about this 20 something year old woman who was running her, parts of her family's business, and knew and was the fixer and knew a whole lot. I was very, and not in a bad way, but I was just surprised that she even still wanted to be bothered, because she had seen so much at her young age. Like, to even think that that was possible or plausible or even reasonable to want. You know what I mean? I don't know if I would still be longing for a romantic partner after everything that she, we can assume, had witnessed and been privy to.
See, I think that dream number 1, she had what she thought were 2 romantic examples in her mind, right? What she had been told about her grandparents' relationship, I think.
Hmm.
And I think what she believed she saw of her parents' relationship, because I think that she very much distinguished how her father behaved towards them versus how whatever relationship he had with their mother. It did
Yeah.
not seem like she lumped them all. She definitely viewed her and her siblings, her and her sister, excuse me, in a different category from how her father behaved towards her mother. It seemed like we didn't seem to get the impression that she thought her mother was mistreated. It's like she thought that her mother was caught up in things that didn't matter to Dream and Diana in the same way, and as a result her mother was happy, right? and
Hmm.
and it looked like she believed that her father focused on being a good husband to a
Yeah.
certain extent and father until things started going in a weird direction, particularly when she
Hmm.
started working for him, I guess.
Yeah.
So in that respect, you could see her still believing that it was possible, but maybe I think to a point that you were getting to, not necessarily believing or wondering if she could have it for herself, right? And so
Hmm.
it's like we know that she says she avoided certain types of men because she didn't want a repeat of,
Yeah.
right? She didn't want to be with someone that was necessarily in the business. And so Isaac was fine because Isaac was adjacent enough to understand how things went, but he
Hmm.
was doing his own thing,
Right.
right? Paul, she's kind of like, oh, I mean, on paper Paul could be fine, but he's, you know, could be the type of person my father might want for me, but she didn't have a spark towards Paul. um so it to me it's almost interesting that Dream fell for such an unlikely, right, quote
Yeah.
unquote unlikely, right, definitely
Well,
in
she didn't
in the
mean to.
universe. She certainly did not, right? And that he was doing these things and sharing these things
Right.
so early on, where she was prepared to just for it to be purely physical,
Yeah.
the 30 days and then that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I would agree with that. I think it was her, she didn't plan on it, and as it was happening, she just kind of let it turn into that, and it ended up being, scars and all, with, like, the one of the best things that could have happened to her. Like, by the time you get to the end, and she, like you said, she got 4 babies and one on the way, and
Right.
He call it, like you were saying, he call a baby so much the children call it that. So, those things, yes.
And
Uh,
yeah, and
but
it's just clear that whatever hangups there were about the affection, I mean, we were already seeing that in the present day, right? That the affection, the kissing and the,
hmm
like, again, he wasn't just affectionate to her when they were having
yep,
sex,
yep, yep, yep.
right? It starts that way, but then it quickly,
Turns into more for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Two more questions. I cannot believe that we are actually doing as good on time as we are. I thought we were gonna have to do two parts. So I'm stunned. I'm excited about this. Um, who did you want to get their own book? I think I know the answer already. And what
Hmm.
questions do you still have?
Well, I mean, yeah, Cameron, right? I want to know
Mm-hmm.
what's going on with Cameron. I want to know, a side note, I want to know, we get the we are told that Smoke's parents, right, that she had gone back to Mexico for a little while. And the mother had gone back to Mexico for a little
Yeah,
while, but whether
yeah.
or not, like, are they still together? What's going on there? Does she like split her time between Texas and Mexico?
Mm-hmm.
Which are candidly one and the same. Get over it,
Yeah, it is
Texans.
the same. It's literally the
Um,
same. I
um, do, 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 do.
want to know how come they didn't take Kiki at the same time that they took Demon, and where was she at? I remember they
So,
told us who she was with, but yeah, what happened? Did I miss that?
well, Melanie gave her to her sister.
That's okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
Melanie gave Kiki to her
that's what
sister
happened.
and
That's what
lied
happened.
because Melanie, when they did, when um Damien and Dante's father did go back to look for Kiki, Melanie said she ran away from home. When the
Yes,
truth was she had given her to her sister and she was
yes,
raised by her sister and her sister's husband.
absolutely.
And then I think, what does Dante say, that once he realized Kiki was alive and okay, what, I'm trying to remember what his explanation was for why he didn't immediately tell Demon.
He did give a reason though, so I would have to
Yeah,
go
he gave
back and look
yeah,
at
he
it.
gave a reason.
Yeah.
He gave a reason. I wouldn't have minded seeing a little of Dante, a little more of Dante's wife on the page, Sherilyn.
Mm-hmm.
Because we definitely just get enough bits to know that she's obviously Dante's equal in that, you know, she managed to lock him down. They've been together a long time. She has excellent taste. Her she wasn't freaked out by Demon snapping her cousin's neck. She was just like, "What am I supposed to tell my uncle? Thanks." Um, but even like the when Dream is at his lake house and Dream finds the hair care products and she's like, "Oh, I used your girlfriend's hair care products." And Demon's like, that's Sherilyn, and I'm pretty sure. He's like, number one, I've never had one of those. And he's like, number two, I'm pretty sure Sherilyn would not appreciate you implying that she's sleeping with two brothers. So we didn't get a lot from Sherilyn, but I would have liked, like, what was Sherilyn's position on Crystal running off with D'Angelo, right?
Yeah.
Does she just kind of play her positions like, well, it is what it is, and I'm gonna leave it to my husband to handle it? We don't know what D'Angelo and Crystal actually had in terms of babies.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they had a, because even in the epilogue, we see Genesis and we see Smoke and Diana's two younger children, and we see the four Montana boys. But I don't know that we know that Grandpa's still alive.
Yeah.
But I don't know that we know what Crystal and D'Angelo, because Crystal and D'Angelo's child theoretically would be the same age as, or a little bit, excuse me, a little bit older than Demon and Dream's oldest son, and Genesis, or no, not
Yeah.
Genesis, Smoke and Diana's oldest child, which I think is a girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, but more than anything, I very that is a question we will ask her when we see her behind the
You
pen,
can
right?
ask her. I
Like,
ain't finna
I,
ask her
I
nothing.
will ask her about Cameron's story, because I'm definitely like, don't wet my whistle now and leave
Right.
me hanging.
She
Like,
ain't
tell
finna
me
pull
something.
Scarlet out on me. Mm-mm.
But a bump. That would be hilarious. It
It
wouldn't be, but it would be
would.
hilarious.
Okay. I think we did it. Is there anything else you want to discuss?
No, no. I'm so glad we read this story. I'm so
I
glad
am
that
too.
we read this story. And we give her a pass for 750 pages for George R.R. Martin-esque.
Yeah, she took it to the max. Took it to the max.
Now, hopefully, she does not follow in his footsteps in terms of making us wait forever for the next installment. So, this is why I will, since you will be across the room hiding like a coward, I will be asking. I will be asking the questions that need answers in terms of what the timeline might be for Cameron and Kayla's story, because I am very intrigued by that.
What's next?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, enjoy your fourth.
All right, you do the same. This
All
was
right.
great. Talk
Yes.
to you later.
Bye.
Bye.